Hello, everybody, and welcome in to Winter is Blooming, a Game of Thrones rewatch podcast by us, the Penny Bloom Podcast. Today, we are discussing Season 8, Episode 3, The Long Night. It was written by D&D, David Benioff, and D.B. Weiss, and directed by Miguel Sapochnik. I am Colton Robertson. I am joined by Joseph George. What's up, homie?
Oh, what up, what up? It is always a pleasure to be here. A long-awaited day, long-awaited night, I should say. But man, we're
That's true.
finally here. Holy crap.
Yeah, no, this is eh, I made the proclamation to you last night as I was watching it, that this is my favorite episode of Game of Thrones ever. Now, there's layers to that, obviously. You know, I do think that there are episodes of Thrones that are technically better than it. I think that that's fair to say, but
Mhm.
I only watched seasons 7 and 8 on TV as they were happening, and this one, it was a
It's
whole
the
other
one.
level for me. It
It's
was a
the
whole
one.
other level.
Yeah.
I mean, I finished the episode. It was me and my family were watching it in the living room. That was how we would all the lights would go down, the curtains would get shut. It's 8 o'clock on a Sunday
Mm.
night. Let's watch this episode of Thrones. We watched this episode of Thrones, and then it ended, and I was like, all right, guys, I'm gonna go watch that again. See you tomorrow.
Yeah.
Went downstairs, watched it again. The next night I watched it again. The next night I watched it again. I watched it every night for a week straight until season 8, episode 4.
Yeah. No, this one took the world by storm, and I think they kind of knew it as well. This is
Yeah.
what the show is truly. Well, maybe. I guess maybe it's what happens in the finale. But this is a very, very, very large part of the show coming to a close. And man, I mean they made a movie. Like gonna be like it is
Oh
kind of
yeah.
nut. Like this is an hour and a half of just blah.
Well, and that's what's
Like
fascinating is I was thinking about it this morning about how this does feel like a movie. In one of my texts last night, I literally typed out what's so cool about this movie and backspaced it and like episode.
yeah,
Um,
it's
but
different. It's
it
different,
is,
but
you know, like and it's fascinating that no television show has ever done anything quite like this. The scale, the massiveness, the impact, it's a whole other level. But it would be a bad movie, which is fascinating. And that's like
totally. Yeah.
this is one of those things that only television can do. The fact that
Mhm.
we do spend just, I mean, tens and tens of minutes in a bloody fantasia of music and action and nothing else.
Yeah. I mean, in a movie, they're going to have to introduce all these characters and you have to
Mhm.
learn who they are, but we have had 6 seasons or 7
It's
seasons
the
to
sort
do
of
it.
thing that only a show like this can earn,
Mm,
and that's a really cool thing
yeah.
about this episode for me is that you you know, if you were to just get dropped in a movie, you know, and it was just the opening shot of Sam there with a knife getting put in his hands and him panicking, it would be interesting, it would
Mhm.
be an interesting movie, um
Yeah.
but you wouldn't know anybody. You wouldn't know who you're connected to. You wouldn't know
Mm-mm.
who you love, who you hate. You wouldn't know what the fuck that was going on. So, like, I just love the way that they take full advantage of the medium and let this episode breathe and don't force anything that
Mhm.
doesn't need to happen into it. Um,
No,
and
like,
I
dumb dialogue either. No, and by dumb, I mean, like, kind of the self-aware kind of
yeah,
dialogue that they had. That kind of went away this episode. Um,
this
and they were
tonally they capture
like, "Holy
they
shit."
capture this perfectly, dude.
Like, I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen this episode before. I've seen it multiple times, just like you. I don't know exactly the run that I went on that week that it
Mhm.
came out, but I remember like it was watched many of times.
Yeah.
But I've caught like so many new things. It is crazy just to see how I watch, like how I've progressed just as a viewer
Viewer. Yeah.
over time since then. But like it's crazy how like the parts that I'm focused on now are like the actors when they're not saying any words to each other, but they're all just like, holy shit, we all know what's coming. We literally
Dude.
don't know what to say to each other. There is nothing to say. We're just looking at each other and we're scared for our lives.
Yeah,
And oh my
man.
God, but
There's
they're on
that
a set.
moment.
Like they're on a set.
Yeah.
There is no threat coming whatsoever. And I'm just like, holy shit. Like it's actually nuts to keep that like feeling, that vibe the
That
whole
intensity.
time.
Yeah, dude.
Like,
Because
yeah.
like that moment when Sansa's sent into the crypt and she just silently walks through, and then Tyrion walks up and looks at her, and Sansa just looks at him like, and he just takes a big old swig of wine and walks down the like
Yep.
that's like
What do
exactly
you
like
say?
it was so
There's
perfectly performed, dude. But if you would like
Mm.
to, we can go ahead and start digging into this one detail by detail, and we can get it fallen as night has fallen at Winterfell. Samwell Tarly is fearful, and his nervous hands are filled with a pair of dragonglass daggers by an unseen benefactor. Meanwhile, Tyrion Lannister takes several wine casks from the provisions to take with him into the crypts below, where the non-combatants are hiding. Bran Stark is wheeled by to the Godswood to wait as bait, accompanied by Theon Greyjoy and his detachment of Ironborn, as well as Alice Karstark. And Sansa and Arya oversee one section of the castle wall, while Davos commands another. Lyanna Mormont commands defense of the main courtyard, which is fucking baller, by the way. I love that she's the one leading that section of people,
Yeah.
informing them to open the gates and shit at the time, and like, okay, Lyanna, little lady Lyanna. But outside the gate, Brienne of Tarth commands the left flank, accompanied by Jaime Lannister. They are joined by Podrick Payne, the Hound, Gendry Baratheon, Edison Tullett, and Samwell Tarly. And Edison Tullett gets to utter the first words. Dolorous Ed gets to utter the first line of dialogue in this episode, which was, there you are. Took
Wow.
your time.
Yeah, I guess it did. It did take some time, even just to get
No,
a
I mean, like,
single
it was
word.
several minutes
Mm-hmm.
of, and like that's one of the things that I remember people being like, "What are we doing?" Like, I don't know what people wanted, like, but
Oh
like it's just
no, I much
like that's
prefer that there's like no words at all. Like
the
this is
intensity of this is fucking palpable.
yes. Oh my
You're
God. Yeah.
gripped by it.
What do you think? They're just gonna be like, oh well, let's talk about tomorrow and our future plans right now, guys. Let's talk about. No, they are worried that they are not gonna make it out of the night. That's all that you would be thinking of. That's all that would be on your brain whatsoever. Like this is,
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I think you said it perfectly. As like there are episodes that are like critically made better, but like as far as just like a Thrones,
And frankly,
just
I think there are episodes that are written better. I don't know that there's anything that has been done quite as well as this.
like Baylor pops into my head, and whenever
yeah.
I'm thinking of Baylor, like what probably like I don't know it might be one. Like it could be one. Like of the best
It
episodes ever
probably is
made.
the best episode of television.
And to the fact
Like-
that I'm like comparing this episode to it, like that, I don't know of many other comparisons to like throw at it. Like it
I
like
mean, like the only battle episode that comes close is Battle of the Bastards. Like that's the and
Okay.
you know,
true.
I would say that episode is probably better. I think that
a lot more talking, a lot more strategy, a lot more
there's a lot
planning,
there's a lot more stuff that goes
intricacies
into that. But yeah, I mean, like there's a whole section of the episode before the battle and a whole section of the episode just right after the battle ends and stuff. So like this is just the fucking battle. Like this is just the battle. And it's still close to that level, like and that's one of the insane things about it. So like I fucking like the tension they create for an hour and 20 minutes is fucking incredible. So I love it. But Grey Worm is also leading the formations of Unsullied. One of my top tier picks for character this week. Loved Grey Worm in this episode, and Jacob Anderson's performance as Grey Worm is fucking incredible. While Jorah Mormont and Quono ride along with the Dothraki cavalry, accompanied by Ghost. And Daenerys and Jon ride their two dragons away from the castle so as to not alert the enemy of their presence. But the moonless darkness is impenetrable and eerily silent until a lone rider appears, Melisandre, the Red Priestess, the Red Woman.
Enter in.
Yep.
The sleeper agent of Game of Thrones that I don't like. I don't know why it hasn't hit me before, but like, as the story goes, we have the Night King. If there's an opposite to like the Night King, it's kind of Melisandre. Like, I understand it's more like the Lord of Light or like the actual god or whatever is behind the scenes, but
No,
like
but she's channeling that motherfucker.
she's
for
like
sure.
the Avatar. Like if the Night King is the Avatar for whatever evil fuck is behind it, like Melisandre seems to be the main Avatar for
Yeah.
the Lord of Light. And man, like I don't know, it is kind of crazy that like she just
Soño Elon Misas.
yeah, mis as. I love that it ends in mis as. It just little things like that just get me to I don't know.
I
just get me to
Soño
laugh. Yeah,
Elon Misas.
yeah.
I love the chant she does, but
But man,
yeah, she rides on up. She goes straight to Jorah and is like, "You talk to them," and he's like, "Yeah, I do." And she's like, "Tell them to lift their swords," and he's like, "Okay,
sure.
lift them."
Yeah.
Tells them to lift them, and all of them are like, "Okay," I love that all of them just go ahead and lift it on up.
Yeah.
And when they do, she starts praying to the Lord of Light and High Valyrian. The armies Iraq suddenly burst into flame, sweeping from one side of the field to the other. And the music swell here, the reactions on faces.
Yeah.
I love the sense of like, okay, maybe we can fucking do this thing, like they need something like that.
Yeah.
So I like getting the morale up. I liked
nice.
that a lot. It was a nice moment. I love watching the shot from Sansa and Arya's point of view as they like watch it sweep across is fucking gorgeous. And like I'm gonna be saying that about a lot of imagery in this episode. I mean,
they do a lot of great sweeping shots like that.
And I was happy. I was so happy to find that the Blu-ray works fucking wonders on visibility.
Really nice. Yeah, that would have been really nice to see the difference because even though I moved to like a nicer TV for this episode, there were still some times where I could tell like, oh, I'm watching it on HBO or I'm watching it on Max. Like I'm streaming this. I am not like watching this for real. But
I mean, it worked fucking wonders for my visit. Like I'd never seen the episode as good as I did now, and I've watched it like 10 fucking times.
Wow.
So this was it was gorgeous to look at, and I never had a single moment where I couldn't really tell what I was looking at, which is a problem that I've had in the past watching it on Max.
Yeah,
and we will get to one of the specific standout moments for me momentarily where that was the case, where it was like my litmus test for it. I was like, all right, if I can see what actually happens in this shot, I will know whether or not the Blu-ray is doing something, and I knew what it was doing. So regardless, the Dothraki's Arax burst into flame, and Melisandre withdraws within Winterfell, and Davos is like, "Open the gate!" He's ready to fucking kill her ass
on business, dude. I mean, dude was instantly. I love that. Like
he told her
the beginning of kind of like everything else before this is kind of just showing the setup of the everything. This is kind of the real beginning of the episode before like any beef or anything happens. And I love that it's Davos just being like, "Yeah, I told you I would kill you if you ever came back here." Like, and I'm ready. Like his hand was on his sword. Like he was like, "So what are you doing here?" He's like, "What's going on?" And then can you imagine
goes, "No, don't worry.
Yeah.
Don't worry. I'll be dead by dawn." And he's just kind of like,
does that mean I'll be dead too? Is it just you? Like, I know you can kind of see you got some magic stuff. I don't, that doesn't sound good.
Is that like, she doesn't even know if it means that they will be dead by dawn. She's just like, I know that I will be dead by dawn. If the rest of y'all are dead by dawn, I don't fucking know. But I know I will be.
Okay. Yeah. What do you, maybe it's not something specific that she saw in her vision, but I would be curious to know, like, what she knew going in. Like, imagine she saw, like, the very end. Like, she saw herself walking out with just mounds of dead bodies, whatever, and then she sees, like, her death sort of thing. That's still ambiguous because, like, all those dead bodies Like
Yeah.
it's either the army of the dead or the dead army of the living, and like you can't.
Yeah.
I don't know. It would, I guess, be ambiguous. You wouldn't know like who came out victorious, and
Because there's also that moment when she walks past Davos and her and Arya lock eyes, and it's almost a moment of realization. It looks like for Melisandre, like, oh,
like
like
it's like things like she knew the sort of
as
outline,
she's
but then she's
piecing
like,
shit
oh
together
shit, like it's
as she's coming up in here, like she sees Arya and she's like, "You gonna be important." She watches Beric die.
That's true. Yeah.
For him, for her, and is like, okay,
all right,
yep, that's
now
it.
that's happened, we're good. She's like,
He
we're good.
served her his purpose, like that was it. That's why he brought him back.
Wow.
Get on out of here. Like I loved that shit. So, but
jumping the gun a little bit, I know, but I do love the Red Woman stuff from
looks
this
like I'm
episode.
gonna have to refresh my page here as I it just cuts off and then it just cuts off and it just goes to the House of the Dragon promo image underneath. That's all that's on there for the rest of the fucking page. So
that wouldn't be
let's
very
go
helpful.
ahead and,
yeah. I mean, we will watch House of the Dragon. No need to advertise to us.
No, like, I'm good. I'm there.
We're in.
You got me. I'm in.
Yeah, we're in. We're doing a breakdown of the Long Night right now. If we're not into the House of the Dragon, I don't know who is. But
we've done this whole rewatch in between season 1 and season 2 of House of the Dragon. That was kind of the point of what we're doing here. So we're there. But emboldened after the lighting of their swords, the Dothraki cavalry are ready to fucking charge. They're like, you know what? Let's fucking do this shit, baby. And this was another series of imagery that just, oh my fucking God, I love it.
This is kind of, I say it's a gripe, but it's not really. Like, maybe just a dumb decision on the Dothraki's end here. For the episode, I love it. You're right. The visuals, it's awesome. Seeing them all just burn out and then like run back, and everyone's like, "Oh, holy shit! If the Dothraki are retreating, then like, we're done." Like I think that's the idea, is to show just an entire army be obliterated with no problem, and then the most fearless army to be retreat. I think like that's just the point. But like, why run out? Why split your army? Why not just wait for them to come to you still, and like you just have more people there? You know what I mean? And like it's just like it feels like they just sent the army to die. No way did they think the Dothraki army could completely kill the army of the dead, or else they would have just fought the army of the dead with the Dothraki before.
No,
it's like,
well, here's my thing: is that I've always kind of I understand this gripe, and I'll say it loosely.
It's the only one I got for the whole episode. So
I also don't find it to be a logic hole. I don't at all. I think that tactically, that the Dothraki style is not to wait. They were going to fight the army of the dead anyway, if they ran at them. So like I tend to find it as like they are the first line of defense. Everyone knows they are the most fierce fighting force in the world.
Guess
if there is any army who could take them one-on-one, it probably would be the Dothraki. So I think it was just like it's the first shot in the dark, and they also the episode doesn't make it clear
style as well. That is just kind of
they don't
they do. They have never lost. Actually, like maybe that's actually a part that I didn't think of. They're just like, we're not gonna die. They're like, okay.
And the thing is too is that the episode, the way they use the Dothraki is fascinating because there's still like thousands of Dothraki left.
Yeah, it all kind of seemed. I mean, like their swords went out, but then we saw a bunch running back. Yeah, and so that was kind of interesting to. That's kind of the treatment of the Dothraki. It felt like they were just kind of thrown out and just like, all right, they're not really a factor anymore, and we're done with them, sort of thing. But I mean, does Dany still have like a large? Like, does she still march with like a lot of them?
Force of Dothraki.
Yeah,
in a couple episodes here.
Yeah.
So like that's my thing is that like it's fascinating the way they are utilized in this episode. I think it does make sense. I think that they're trotting them out there because they stand the best chance. This is the way that they fight. If they can put a dent in the army of the dead before they charge,
Yeah.
that'd be very, very helpful. The swords going out also, the imagery indicates that they are dying, but they're just fucking cold out there. They put out fire. That's their fucking thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like
There's.
I think that's part of it too.
Hmm.
So like there's just
Okay.
a whole slew of things that I think work more
Oh,
on a visual level than they do
yeah.
logically.
And I think, I mean, it sets up the battle perfectly. Like, it gets you to be
Oh,
like, oh, shit. Like, I mean, like,
well, they
yeah,
just came
we're.
off this fucking like, let's fucking go, baby. They've been building up the Dothraki for season after season. Jamie talked about how there's not an army in the world that can stack up to them. If there's anybody, like, if there is
Yeah,
anybody who can take the army of the
that's
dead,
true.
it's the Dothraki. So whenever all their swords go out and they flash to like specifically Jamie, whose face goes from like
Mm.
smiling to just kind of like,
Oh,
like
shit.
it's
Yeah.
oh my
Okay.
god, I fucking love
Mm.
it. I love it.
Okay.
So regardless, yeah, it's obviously not the way you want to kick off the battle.
Hey, but
They just do thing
yeah.
after thing after thing that indicates to you there is no way to defeat them beyond killing the Night King.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the only way you can get this motherfucker. So, but I loved watching, the stray horse fleeing back and all of them slowly running through like, fuck, goddamn, like if you're watching the Dothraki run away, it's pretty fucking dark.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No.
But the shot that I always use as my litmus test for how
Oh.
well I can see things is Jorah riding back. The first time I watched this episode and I saw Jorah riding back, I thought he was like terribly wounded. Like
Hmm.
you can't really see him. He's just kind of like motion blurred as he runs
But
on
yeah,
by,
he
and it's
does.
dark, and he's doing this, and he's
Mm-hmm.
just really so like the first time I watched this, I was like, oh no, what the fuck happened to Jorah out there? Like, is he done? Is it? And then I watched it, and like obviously later on in the episode he pops up, he's fine. But I watched it on the Blu-ray, and I could see it perfectly
Yeah.
clear that he's got like a tiny little head wound, and that's like it. Like he's fine.
What happened to
Um,
Ghost?
Ghost rides. Ghost is fine. Um,
Because he goes out there with Jorah, but is that the last
mhm.
time we even see him in the
We don't see him
episode?
the rest of the episode. Yeah, we don't see him the rest of the episode. They had a lot of dragons to CG, man. No time for more Ghost.
That is true. But like we see him, like I don't even remember. Like he's alive at the end. Like is
Yeah,
he
he
with
goes
John
north with
north of the
John.
wall? Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I think he goes north of the wall with Tormund. Like next episode, John hands him off.
Oh,
He's like, "That's where you belong."
that's right. They
Uh,
go. He goes south with it does all
mhm.
that stuff and then goes back
Yeah,
up. Okay. Okay.
yeah.
I do. But Okay. Yeah. I guess did Ghost even get like a nice little like a nice kill or something? I think I remember him like
I don't know that we
maybe
saw one.
jump.
I mean, one of my favorite shots of the episode does include Ghost, and it was one of the ones I was going to comment on when they're charging. The fucking flaming fireballs flying above them all riding on their horses. Jorah's running like center frame, and then Ghost catches
Okay.
up in the foreground, and
Yeah.
it's like, okay, fuck
Yeah.
yes, let's fucking do this thing. Like I love that shit. But
Mm, okay.
the after this, the build up whenever they're waiting and you hear and it just keeps getting louder and louder and louder and you can't see, and then they barely break into frame, and then they cut above to show the
Whew.
wave
Yeah.
crashing over. God damn. And watching them smack into that troop, Tormund look over at them and be like,
Yes, dude.
oh
The
my
front
fucking
lines
god.
here. Like you
Yeah,
got Grey Worm at the front. We got, Tormund over there. You got
we got the
Brienne,
Hound.
Jamie, the Hound, like all
And
these
yeah, like
crucial people at the front. And then you start just seeing whoa, like I mean, the first time I'm watching this, I'm like, are we about to
everybody's
lose?
dead.
Like I'm like, holy shit, like we're about to lose all these people that are outside of the wall, like right now. And
Yeah.
like it the stakes like that's there's no question on if the stakes are there. Like it is, even while I'm watching this episode now, fully knowing that the Night King dies and the whole army goes at the end of the episode, I'm still like, no, like you need to like John, no, get behind that wall when the fire comes, or like certain moments when I'm like, no, like this is not going well, and I get scared, but I know it's all good.
There's certain odds in this episode that are so insurmountable. It's fascinating the way they pull it off in a way that is believable in comparison to like season 7, episode 6, Beyond the Wall. I'm confident none of them should have lived in that situation. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's one of those things that logically it makes no fucking sense that any of them made it out. And I think you can make that argument once more that none of these people, like, but like good prevails. I love that. So it's fine. And a lot of the characters who were in a situation where I thought like, oh, you're fucked, like you don't stand a fucking chance, do end up dying. It's just not in that situation that they end up dying. So it's funny that like it ends up wrapping itself up that way. One specifically is Theon. The bows and arrows are a terrible tactical choice. The way that the wave of dead that comes at them initially, there's like 6 of them there, and they all have one fucking arrow. Like, no, you didn't fucking do that. You know, so they end up.
That's why Benjen had it right, dude. You just need that.
You need that fucking flail.
It just
you just need something you can swing.
Imagine the Ironborn are just in a circle around Bran. They all just have one of those things, and they're just a circle of impenetrable dragon glass. You know, was it made out of dragon glass, or was it just the fire that was just killing?
Flail.
I mean, doesn't even need to be dragon glass, but they got that now. It could be the double. I don't know. Can dragon glass be lit on fire? That'd be kind of. I guess no need at
that point, but even so, like, but yeah, regardless, it was cool imagery, and I like the way Theon goes out. But it was one of those things where I was like, like it always sticks out to me. There's like 3 of them, and they all have one arrow drawn, and like 15 come at them within like 10 fucking feet. So it's like no goddamn way.
Maybe it's just the Night King flexing, and he's like, I know I'm not, I know I'm gonna win here. I'm nothing to worry about. Let me just look cool.
I love that shit. I love that shit. Regardless, I'm fucking in. But the battle has commenced. The Unsullied form phalanxes, while catapults start shooting flaming barrels into the night, and by the light of the fires, the true size of the undead horde can be seen. And the shots of just the sheer numbers they have, it was just one of those things where it's like, there's no fucking chance. We don't stand a fucking shot. And they rush down from the north and slam into the defenders around the wall. And they are around Winterfell, and they are quickly overrun by the whites, who swarm over the top of each other, and the infantry formations like a tidal wave, and a savage melee sees most of them surrounded, and they are killing whites with their dragonglass weapons, but not nearly enough, as the living dead drag down and overwhelm the defenders through sheer numbers. And viewing the battle from the west, Daenerys is upset at the slaughter of her Dothraki and wants to strafe the whites. And Jon's like, hey, we got to find the Night King. This is not part of the plan. You can't go down there and just start flaming motherfuckers. We got shit to do. And she's like, nah,
gotta do something.
The dead are here. The Night King's not. Let's go ahead and fucking do this thing. And Jon's like, all right, let's go ahead and do this thing. Let's go scorch motherfuckers. And again, we get a nice little music swell and another small moment of hope whenever, you watch Jaime and Tormund react to the fire just scorching everybody. Like,
imagine being Jaime, his previous dragon interaction is, this thing is coming to kill me, and I'm screwed. This was, that was the last, insurmountable. He had the Dothraki charging at him, and then Drogon. But I must imagine how it would feel to be like, a dragon on my side now. That would be like,
even if it is just for a second, because I
guess you have the Night King again.
In this moment, though, he's even like, I have the Dothraki and I have the dragons on my side, and we still might not win. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's insane. But the White Walkers themselves do not engage as their forces continue to flood the castle, and instead of staying in a mounted line far behind the front, content to throw wave after wave of undead pawns at the castle, Jon sees the White Walkers and tries to make a bombing run. He's like, "Fuck it, let's see if this works."
Let's do it. I'm straight for the dude. Why not? You know, I'm him.
Well, and it's not a bad idea. You know, he's killed one, and 7 of them dropped instantly. So if however many they've turned,
Yeah.
if he can kill them, they all die.
On
So,
a dragon, you know, they have no idea if dragon fire kills them. You know, this is like just a great. Yeah.
Might as well take a shot at it.
Yeah.
And they unfortunately do not get the chance as the storm is brought.
Yeah. Avatar, Night King over here.
Right.
Wind
right.
or air bending the weather. Yeah. Kind of OP. Yeah. Another thing they're not used to. You know, a lot of just magical shit in this battle that they're like, well, oops, like the whole trench that they have, it eventually gets lit, but they're like, oh yeah, we kind of just didn't expect that this dude brings winter with him, and fire is
like
very hard to light. Yeah, but it was really cool to kind of just see him be like, nope, wave, see you later,
the fact
Jon.
That the plan, initially, again, the plan is that they do not charge and take out a bunch of whites. Davos signals to them, and they light the trench. It is the job of the dragons to light the trench.
Mm-hmm.
And because they're engaged, because they left their post, and because of that, they brought the storm, they decided they couldn't get it done. So like it creates a cool moment, but like it's cool to watch the plan they set up just fall apart step by step.
I mean, yeah,
which is never good.
Probably was going to anyways. You know, you can have a plan in place, but this is just doomsday. You know, everyone's just gonna do whatever they feel like they need to do. There's no, I don't know. Once one part of the plan was gone, it's over. It's everyone just live, just survive, do anything you can, and
dude, it's wonderful. A great fucking survival episode. But this breakdown's a little out of order. They're going to kind of stick with Jon and Daenerys for a second here, so bear with me. But as Jon and Daenerys struggle to find one another in the storm, Jon calls Dany's name, and they eventually reunite above the storm clouds. Some beautiful imagery there as well. One of my favorite shots is actually when the storm is brought, and you see it like bearing down on like a tidal wave.
Yeah.
And Drogon's flying underneath it, and the glow is reflecting off the clouds. Like I've always fucking loved that shot. But then again, when they're above the clouds and they decide to go back down,
fantasy as hell. Yeah, that was
oh, gorgeous, gorgeous.
Jon just being, you know, they're kind of just chilling there for a second, and then Jon's like, "All right, we got to go." Just like I don't know what to call that. Just like an instant dive down, and then Dany's like, "All right, I'll follow you." Sort of. I don't know. It's just.
Yeah, the way they do like a fucking roller coaster, you know, like yeah. The introductory shot of the Night King where he raises his hand as he's like riding on the back of the dragon, like the way that he looked and the White Walkers looked at this episode was fucking awesome.
Oh yeah.
And ultimately makes his first appearance above. He announces himself on the wings of Assyrian as he's just kind of hovering there, like, y'all want to come and get me? Fucking come and get me, you know? Like he kind of knows what's up. And Daenerys makes the first run at him, but Night King gets behind her and chases her, but Jon tries to follow, knocked out of the way, while Daenerys manages to evade the attack. And when Daenerys and Jon find each other again above the clouds, the Night King is gone, and the Night King makes his way to Winterfell. But the remaining is badly affected. The only infantry still holding up reasonably well by this point are the lockstep legions of the Unsullied, horrifically trained to strip away all fear and robotically follow their battle formations. And boy, did it seem like that paid off here.
Yeah, it's sad. It's like kind of sad to see them. Like they were backing up like a little bit, you know, and like.
Oh yeah.
But
and I mean, like it was a tactical backup. Like
it wasn't a fearful
one. They were evacuating
one.
line by line.
They were just like protecting the retreat, and they knew they were dying, but still just hold position.
That's why
I'm just like
loved Grey Worm, dude. There's so many moments in this episode that like give me chills and like make my eyes fill up with tears, just because like
he
the way that these
knows.
people are fighting for life, it's beautiful. You know, like when Grey Worm goes, like he's watching the people retreat. He hears Tormund call out like, "Fall back!" And Brienne yells it too. They're all going back, and Grey Worm like watches them all retreat, and he just kind of
Yeah.
stands up and goes, "Protect the retreat." I'm like,
And
okay,
whenever he's
okay,
dropping that drawbridge or whatever you call that, like he knows he's kind of like sentencing his army to die. Like he knows like
yeah,
once this is flipped, everyone who's out there, they're
it's
done.
done.
Like and I'm doing this to my like these are my like brother. Like these are the people that I like went through all of this with, and I'm it was kind of like no words were said, but that was kind of just implied through the moment, and that's just
Oh, dude.
crazy.
Yeah, Jacob Anderson was really fucking good with his eyes because it's mostly his eyes.
Yeah, through the
His face
helmet
is fucking
too.
covered. Yeah,
Yeah.
like
I love
it's
like
really good.
there's shots of him putting on his helmet, taking it off, and like
Oh, dude,
and just kind of like
whenever the army's coming and you can hear it, and he just kind of
oh, that one.
yeah,
Oh, when he puts it on
yeah,
at first, that one,
and he
yeah.
puts it on.
And
Yeah,
all
that's
sick.
hard. But yeah, whenever he does retreat ultimately, and he takes it off, and he's looking at his people, and he's like, "God damn, all right."
Ooh, man.
But yeah, they protect the retreat, and a full retreat is in order. Grey Worm commands the Unsullied to to form up a rear guard to protect it, and Samwell Tarly is nearly killed in the retreat, but Dolorous Ed saves him, only to be stabbed from behind and killed. R.I.P. my
God
boy Dolorous Ed.
damn it. Why did
Um,
it I like that he saved someone. It is nice, but it kind of feels like Sam got him killed a little bit,
Oh yeah, no, yeah,
Um,
for sure.
heat of battle, understood. There is a lot of chaos. It's not Sam's fault.
No, it's just one of those things where it shows that Sam's a little bit of a liability. Like that's a
Man, it was and I don't know. Was it the first death? Like the first like big like
major death.
actual
Yeah.
character that died?
Mhm.
Yeah, just I don't know. It felt like it was the easiest death to start with, I guess,
Yeah.
of all the characters to go, but it kind of felt like, "Oh man, Sam, you really got him killed there, dude." Like that was
Yeah,
I
I
don't
mean, the
know. And
fact that Sam makes it out of this battle is just a miracle unto itself.
Bran. It's kind of in my head. I love that Bran is just like, I'm gonna head out. See you later. I gotta do some stuff. So I gotta imagine that
I'm going now.
he's like controlling random people throughout this battle because no way he's just in crows and like looking and shit. I don't know. So I gotta imagine he's controlling some people. In my head, it's like I need Sam. Like Sam's that's my mate. That's my maester. He's gonna be on my council. I need that man. So he's like every little way to save the people that he needs. I don't know. I feel like he's just doing little things here and there to save those people, but I don't know.
That's tough because we're again getting into the territory where it's like, does he know that? Does he even know that Sam's gonna be his
And
fucking
no, I don't think so. I don't think.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I see what you. Okay, I see what you mean there. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. How would he? He doesn't. At
He doesn't.
all.
He can't see the future. He obviously has visions
I always
or
forget
get
this.
glimpses.
Yeah.
Yeah, the future is the tough part. And also, I don't know how much he's lying about that. Can he see the future? And he just says he can't? Like, is that something because, I mean, he's clearly been lying about shit because he ultimately gets to the point where he's like, well, of course, it was always going to be me. So.
Maybe it is some sort of thing where since he knows everything, he knows it's like a loop or like it's this repeating cycle, or he just knows like history repeats itself. Like if these things happen, it's happened so many times over history, it's gonna happen this way. So like
He's got a little bit of that, he's got a little bit of mentat in him, that Dune
yes,
shit
the
where he
fact.
can
It's more
yeah,
factual,
he's
more
got
like
the highest probability. What
yes.
based off of history, what is the most likely thing to happen next? Sort of.
And it may be like a little bit of a little finger sort of thing where it's like if you imagine your enemy's moves, then nothing will ever
Yeah.
surprise you. And he can literally check in to
He can
see
literally do
what
that.
his enemies are thinking in the time and like so like he's just he can't maybe predict the future perfectly, but out of anyone there is, it's either him or Melisandre or any other, red like that's the only people who can see,
Right.
who I'd bet on that would know the future.
No, yeah. Well, and
Um,
what's also crazy is there is no book basis for his ability.
yeah, just
He doesn't become the three-eyed raven until season 6, which is the season after they start being off book. So like they don't even really know what
yeah.
Bran is capable of. So it's kind of like they kind of do the best with what they've got sort of thing, and I think they do a damn good job. But
Mm-hmm.
it'll be fascinating if George R. R. Martin ever puts those books out to see what that ability is like straight from the horse's mouth, like that'll be really interesting shit. But and maybe there's more in later books. I've only read the first two. Maybe there is a little bit more of diving into the training with the three-eyed raven than there
Mm.
was in the show. I don't know, but regardless, yeah, the Dolores said goes down. The damn shame.
Ah,
Hate to see
yeah.
him go. But the whites gradually force their way forward and slaughter, even as Unsullied reinforcements step forward to take the place of each that falls. And the Unsullied are on the verge of being overwhelmed when the last of the main host gets back through the gates, and desperately Grey Worm orders that the trenches around the castle, which have been filled with flammable pitch, be set on fire. And Grey Worm himself is with the last remaining rear guard who cannot abandon the earthworks if they are not set aflame. And attempts by Arya and the other archers to shoot the pitch with flaming arrows are blown away by severe winds, while the snowstorm prevents the dragon riders from seeing their signal. And then the Red Woman. She appears once more. She's like, I just did this a little bit
Yes.
ago. Should be
But
too hard to
Grey
do,
Worm,
man.
Grey Worm,
Yeah.
kind of the one to be like, oh, no,
Form up.
we need to get you there. I like
Mhm.
Melisandre. She was just kind of standing there, So like maybe it didn't feel like she knew that she needed to do this though. It kind of, at least the idea that I got was that Grey Worm was the one who was like, hey, we need you, go do this right now, sort of thing.
I see. No, I kind of took it to be that fucking thing that she's capable of where the interaction she has with Arya later on,
Mhm.
kind of that, where it's like,
She's just waiting to be like she knows
yeah,
she's going to
she's
be needed
waiting
at
for the
some
time. Yeah,
point,
like,
and
and she literally talked with Grey Worm before this whole shit popped off, where she goes, "Valar
Valar
Morghulis," and
Morghulis,
he goes,
that's
"Valar
right.
Dohaeris." So he looks at her, she looks at him, and
Okay.
he's like, "Okay, yeah, good idea." They don't say anything, but he's like, "Yeah, yeah, all right, let's fucking do this thing." So I
Hmm.
love their like
Wow.
unspoken sort of
Wow.
connection here.
She's so sick.
But
Yeah,
yeah, I
she's my
wish Grey Worm
character
would have
for the
been. Oh,
episode
I
though.
love her.
I kind
Yeah.
of had to. I was just so taken, like I can't believe I've never
Yeah, I
really
can't either.
noticed her before,
She's
but
the MVP
um
of this episode, far and away. Like, without
mhm.
her, they fucking lose, and bad.
Yeah, it would not have been good.
Yeah.
A lot of
She's a
no. A lot of things would have gone very wrong.
mhm.
Because if this fire isn't started, I mean, it's just delaying, the siege, which does happen. It all like really, they're all just buying time until the Night King dies. Is kind of
Mhm.
the whole plan. It's like we can't kill the whole army, so like just stay alive for as long as you can. And
there are things that I wish were different about this episode. I wish I love the way Grey Worm is utilized in the first, like, 30 minutes. Um, but then there's, like, 50 minutes after where he's just one of the fucking people trying to survive, which I get. That's just kinda how episodes go.
Mhm.
But on the action side of things, it is very cool to watch them all fight these whites that are completely incapable of actually fighting. They just have sheer numbers. I would have
Mhm.
loved to have seen different characters actually fight White Walkers.
Yeah, that's like all the horde and the undead. That is cool, but
But
man,
when they're
it's like
marching in at the end, it could have been really cool to have, like, a couple of them face off with, like, Grey Worm and Brienne and, like, and these sorts of
mm,
characters who might actually have a
with
chance at fighting
Valyrian
them.
steel swords, like,
Yeah.
and we gave like specifically like one to Brienne. Like I like it's
Yep.
they all have dragon glass and they all have weapons that can kill them, but like the Valyrian steel sword just kind of
Jaime and
feels.
Brienne going 2v2 with a White Walker pairing, like, that would be really fucking
Imagine,
cool.
imagine Jamie and Brienne versus White Walker. their little ice sword, Jaime catches it in his freaking gold hand. It doesn't kill him. The White's like, yo, what
Yeah.
the hell? His
What
hand
the fuck?
shatters or whatever, but then he's like, and then
It's separate from
boom,
his body.
bam.
Yeah,
That
good
would. I
call.
guess
Like
it is
that's
kind of connected to him, so maybe it would fuck. But like, I don't know. It's magic. It's all different. So like, fuck
different.
it.
It's also a different material, you know.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
it's a different organic material. Like it's not organic. It would
Mm-hmm.
probably just shatter the golden hand. Like that's a great fucking idea. You know, so that's the sort of thing where like obviously I wish Jon and the Night King could have gotten a fucking face off.
Oh,
That's the
dude.
ultimate one. That really fucking sucks. And I don't even need Jon to kill him. Like that's not even something I really want. I would have loved if right before he raises the dead, if he actually had a chance, maybe they, like they actually get a chance to fight for a second. And amidst that fight, maybe they separate and the
Mm.
Night King panicked raises the dead,
Because
instead of being so in control the whole
that
fucking
that
time.
moment, whenever he does raise the dead, they kind of won before. Like, I don't know. Was there still like just an unrelenting horde outside of Winterfell still at that moment when he does raise the dead? Because it kind of looked like the battle was like everyone inside of Winterfell was chilling. Everyone, like, they killed the last, like, everyone. I don't know, everyone was dead. And like then the Night King raises everyone back, and then that's, when it starts back up again, obviously. But like it kind of seemed
Yeah,
that
no,
like
they'd kind of done a lot of good. They'd kind of put a huge fucking dent in that army for sure. But now everyone who's died, period,
they
it's
doubled their
interesting.
army. Like
Can he
well, not
does he
doubled, but
reanimate already dead whites? Or once a white
oh,
is killed, is a white fucking
how
done
many
for?
times
Like
can you die? Yeah, can you
right.
only be
Can
brought
you
back
raise a
once?
white back up? Um,
I'd say so.
so did
Um,
I would assume so. So he's just raising the people who were just
everyone,
fighting alongside.
literally anybody whatsoever that's there. I think like the people in the crypt, he didn't even know. He was just like he didn't plan on doing that. It's just anyone within this certain
Oh yeah, yeah.
radius. And I love that like they kind of prove that it is like a radius thing, that he is like
Mhm.
this Bluetooth kind of hive mind, because like when he does go out, everyone dies in a perfect circle and it slowly keeps spreading out. So
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I love that it's like this dude is just like a hot spot.
Beacon.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he just is. Um but I guess I guess I don't know. I don't even know where we are in the
I
actual
mean, like,
breakdown,
that's the
but
thing is
um
it's all just fucking fighting.
mhm.
Besides, like, the couple times we cut down to the crypt, like, it's just fucking fighting, you know? But Grey Worm forms that formation, and
Mm.
uh Melisandre to find her way to the barracks, and she says, she repeats her encampment, uh,
Misas.
incantation.
Yeah,
Hiexonyo Elon Misas. Aixionion Elon Misas. And she has to do it a few times.
mhm.
And right, last second, one's coming for her ass. The shot of it lighting up in her eyes is fucking
Oh.
cool. I love that.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
And
And
then it just spreads around.
love all of the like she's pretty confident in her abilities now after resurrecting Jon Snow, I'd say. Like that was kind of like her big like okay, I'm back sort of moment, but like every time she does something, she's like okay, like good. Like this is going kind of how I saw it, or like, like but also she's more like she's more found in her faith. Like she is very much a believer in every little thing that happens. She's getting more and
Oh
more
yeah.
confident like as the night goes on. I thought that was just really cool to see like those little moments of her just
Oh yeah.
facial acting as
She's
well.
great,
It's
man.
just
Oh
that's
yeah,
all it
Carice Van
is.
Houten is
Yeah.
very, very good. Like I love the way that she portrays the Red Woman in this episode, and it's that last little moment where she's getting kind of worried. She's
She's
like,
like,
"All right,
"All right,
come
Lord
on
of
now,
Light, I
Lord, help me
really
out."
need you. I'm
Uh,
gonna say this one with a lot of emotion, please."
"You
Like,
love me sauce.
yeah.
Yeah, it's really, really good. And it lights up. I love seeing the Hound back away, seeing the
Mm,
dead through the flames. Like that was very cool.
mm.
And seeing the fight approaching, Arya tells Sansa to flee to the crypts as she'll only get killed if she remains. But Sansa protests that she can't abandon her people. And Arya gives her sister a dragon glass dagger to defend herself with, and when Sansa says she doesn't know how to use it, Arya advises her to stick them with the pointy end. And that was one of them for me. I was like,
it's like,
you know what,
like,
dog? I kind of fucking love
like
it.
at the end of the day, is it cheesy? A little bit, if taken out of context, completely. But I don't care. This is I need it. Perfect. One line, heat of the moment.
I love that the callback doesn't even really mean anything to Sansa.
No,
so it's
just her and Jon. Yeah, it's just Arya and Jon. She's just like, oh, okay, no, that's good advice. Yeah, I guess.
Thanks. Okay.
Yeah.
I think I could have figured that one out. Regardless, I love that little moment. And in the crypt, Sansa meets other women, including Missandei and children, as well as the infirm and non-combatants like Tyrion and Varys. And Tyrion laments that he should at least be up on the battlements, even if he can't fight well. Just like at the Battle of the Blackwater, he and Varys still use their great intellects as commanders. And she's like, "No,
you die, dude." She's like, "Yeah, you'd be dead. You don't even understand what the fuck is going on up there. Like, you're good. Like, just stay down here. We're good. Like, you don't want to go up there, actually."
She goes, "Yeah, your witty remarks won't make a difference, and the bravest thing that they can do now." She says, it's a little bit of a callback to last season when Tyrion says nothing. Sometimes nothing is the bravest thing you can do.
Yeah.
And she hits him with the, look, that's the bravest thing we can do now is look the truth in the face. And Tyrion is moved and quips that maybe they should have stayed married, to which she responds, "You were the best of them." And Tyrion remarks that, terrifying thought.
Oh, really? He's like, I'm the best one? I mean, like, for sure.
Yeah,
like, there's no question.
But, like,
he's
his
not
self-deprecating ass. Yeah, it's perfect.
Because it seems that he's saying it as if he didn't know who her previous husbands were, and he's like, oh, man, if I'm the best, then you really had to have gone through it. But, like, he knows. Like, he knows that it was freaking Bolt. What's his first name? Ramsay. And obviously Joffrey. He obviously knows that one. But, like, it was weird. The delivery kind of made it seem that it was not so self-deprecating, or like that he did, like, it was unaware of like the previous marriages or whatever. But I don't know. I
kind of took it to be like I took it to be self-deprecating because
I see that now.
It's terrifying for her. If I'm the best of them, that's a fucking terrifying thought. Like, you've gone through it if I'm the best of them.
Yeah. But I don't know, like, they weren't like giving me anything of being like, oh, I need them together. But it was like their moments together were like really cute. Like, it was, I really did like
Sansa, continues saying a marriage wouldn't work between them. And Tyrion's like, and why not?
Yeah, wait, actually, why not? Like, if we make it out of this, like,
what's the fuck going on? Like, we can make it out of this. You never know. And she says, the Dragon Queen, your divided loyalties would become a problem. And Missandei doesn't like this.
You're talking about my best friend. She's like, hey guys, I'm not gonna let you talk about her behind her back. I'm gonna.
And it was a bar. She says, there would be no problem if the Dragon Queen wasn't here. We'd all be dead already.
Kind of fair enough. Yeah, your Suicide Squad passed the wall. Goodbye. I guess a lot of other things would not have happened. Westeros or Essos just wouldn't have happened. Yeah, a lot of things would not have happened. But kind of a Dune storyline-esque of like, is it good? Is the conquest she's on good in the first place? If she doesn't come over to Westeros, the Night King doesn't get a dragon, and he cannot go south of the wall. Or, I don't know, maybe he had some other plan.
The threat would loom
to get
until he does, though. So, like,
how are we going to get south of the wall, though, man? What if he don't have a dragon? What is that man going to do? He has spears. That's all he has. He has spears, horses, and...
I got to imagine he had some sort of plan beyond a dragon. A dragon just made his shit a lot easier.
It's all too perfect. Like, it's all perfect situation, perfect happenstance. It's like the Night King might just be some mindless whatever, but like, that's
especially
what I'm saying. This episode, this
I don't think
episode
he's mindless.
has
I
shown
think
me
that
he's definitely not. Like this was like almost ceremonial, like the killing of Bran. Whenever we get down there, like all the other White Walkers that are like behind him, they're all there.
yeah.
This is very like ritualistic almost, sort of thing. So I don't know. There's strategy that he actually had like going into this. Like I feel like he their Battle of the Bastards kind of strategy was like, don't fall into Ramsay's trap. He's going to do something very obvious that is going to lure you out. And then the plan's going to go to shit. What does the Night King do? He lures Jon and Dany out and they can't light the whatever. And now Jon is chasing him and all this shit. It's like,
No, yeah. I think he is a tactically brilliant guy. I've never thought that he is mindless. That's what I'm saying about the dragon thing. I think the dragon just makes shit for him easier.
it was like,
I
okay,
think
now I can turn my plan
think
up to
to
100.
your point, yeah, like I think he has plans. He has ideas. He just had an easier way once he got a fucking dragon.
The wall, though, man, it's just that is the insurmountable villain, or any like that is the Night King's enemy. Once he gets past the wall, it's just kind of wraps. He's just gonna do what he's gonna do, but that's the only thing standing in his way. Like and I don't think with the numbers that he has, I don't think climbing over it is really, I don't know. I guess maybe that could have been kind of cool. Maybe like that's where they would have gone if he doesn't have a dragon. They just start to climb the wall.
I also
and
don't
then,
think it's possible. I don't think it's possible. They can't make it past
and
the
then
wall.
the magical
wall's not
barrier.
falling down.
Yeah, like so that's what I'm saying is like I think it's like impossible for him to get south of the wall without a dragon or the wall going down, and the wall going down doesn't happen without a dragon.
And I'm with that. I just don't think there's a way for him to have planned for getting a dragon. That's what I don't think that
okay. Yeah.
years in the making plan was like, and maybe hopefully one day I'll get a dragon. Like I to your point, I think he's too tactically intelligent for that, and to have rose up at this specific time, to have started making his moves at this specific time, it indicates to me that he had a degree of confidence even before he had a dragon. So like I'm not saying like I know what the other idea was. I'm just saying I believe he would have had another idea.
I get you. Yeah, no, I definitely get you. I guess in my head he's kind of like the anti-Melisandre. And he sees kind of some visions or something as well, like because he can see Bran and like he can warg, and obviously because he's warging an entire army, basically like I think warging is kind of definitely like yes he can do that, but as far as like seeing the past and everything that Bran can do, I don't know about that. But like it would be like I don't know, they don't get into this, and George is the Night King's not even the Night King in the books whatsoever, but it would be really cool just to get like the mythos like behind him and see like if this 200 years that Melisandre has been alive, if like that's like her whole purpose was to make sure the Night King would not succeed, sort of thing. And then it's this 200-year sort of long-term plan that is slowly connecting, and she doesn't even know how it's going to, but like it's just slowly over the years. And then but on the other side of that, the Night King sees a dragon in a vision. He sees the wall going down, or he maybe sees these sort of things, and that's his motivation for doing the things he does. But again, he's dead by this episode. They don't ever go back into him. So like and that's the thing. Once George drops the book, it's not even going to be the same thing. So it's
we're never going to get answers about this thing regardless. So but it is interesting, and that's why I think that they don't dive into it, man. Like,
it is just too complicated. It is just kind of easier.
We don't know.
Leave.
They don't know how to fucking explain it because they don't have to think of an explanation. Like they're just kind of like he's deaf and he's trying to kill everybody. Like that's just kind of what he does.
Maybe it is just best to leave it at that.
Right?
Maybe.
Who knows what it could do quality wise if they do try to explain everything. But in the Godswood, Theon Greyjoy can also hear the approach of the undead army, and he starts to apologize to Bran, but Bran politely cuts Theon off, saying my favorite line of the episode: "Everything that you have done has led you here, where you belong, home. And I was like,
Couldn't have said that to Mira. I don't know the person who
shit,
literally
man.
escorted you and risked her life way more
That's
than
something
Theon.
like something a little more, bruh. He just must have a better handle on it by now. Just his whole
True.
fucking situation.
And Theon is kind of like an actual brother to him as well. You know, like
You would think that Mira's earned that sort of sibling-esque title
it's
by the
what
time
you would think. I guess Theon grew up in the castle.
he went through a lot more with Mira, I would say, with Mira at his side.
I guess more bad shit. I guess like he has just good memories with Theon, probably. You know, like
Except
good
for
in
him,
the
like,
sense of like brother, but like I think like it's
except for him
just
being like, I'm gonna take this castle, go tell everybody that,
that I killed you and your brother.
yeah, yeah,
Fair. Yeah. What a show.
no,
Well,
it's a lot of stuff going on. But regardless, after he says that, Theon's like, "Oh yeah, thanks, man," and Bran's like, "I have to go now," and he goes ahead and deuces out, starts warging into a flock of ravens around Winterfell, and through his eyes, he
the
comes
rest of the
across the Night
episode,
King.
just
Oh
the
yeah,
whole
the
rest of the
entire
episode. Mhm.
yeah,
And no
up until
explanation of what he's actually doing. You know, just okay. I thought there was going to be some through line of
nope,
like
nope.
he made this happen or he's watching this specifically to, it's just nope, we need a transition to show the Night King on a dragon, so we're going to fly some crows and there you go. And Bran's just in warg
Yep.
mode for the rest of the time until the Night King is there. But
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. And it's one of those things where like there's certain things that shine through as like, oh yeah, D&D did write this, and that's one of them. It's like,
I guess what else is he going to do? I don't know. Like
oh, that idea you had earlier where he's warging into people and he's fighting for them. If
I
there's
would love it because like when he gets into Hodor is just kind of big enough to where like anyone that goes into Hodor's body can do damage. But he's like the three-eyed raven. I would have loved it to be like he's like wired in the Matrix. He's like he knows all the fighting styles. He like
yeah, like he
just
can
the
do anything.
it like I thought it would be really cool if he just hops in a body, turns him into an elite warrior out of
I mean, we
nowhere.
spend
But
who knows how much time just in fights. You can't show him warg into somebody and do something like that.
like,
Like
imagine someone who doesn't fight well, like Davos. Imagine like just seeing Davos's eyes like roll, and then he just turns into like this fucking killing machine out of nowhere. Like, I
yeah,
think that'd
or
just be
even
hilarious.
fucking
But
like Ghost.
ooh,
Ghost
that
can't kill anybody on his own because he doesn't have dragon glass or fire. Like it would be really fucking cool if Bran uses Ghost to like team up with people. Like he's like
oh,
grabbing people and like tossing them into like attacks or into fire or something. Like it could be
better
cool. But
solution. Give Ghost a dragon glass grill. Just
there you go.
but just his canines, just like
Yep.
put the tips of dragon glass on his canines and let him. Oh, dude, that
That's
would
actually a great fucking idea.
damn.
That'd have been hard as
Grills
fuck.
probably just aren't a thing though. Back, that's just
No, yeah,
too
they're not
complicated.
formed like
Um,
you put your hand in Ghost's mouth, he bites.
that's true. Yeah, a lot easier
but,
said than done. That one is.
yeah. But no, see, but like there's all sorts of like, and
Mhm.
that's the thing is at this point I get that you don't want to do too much. I said that at the beginning of the episode. Like they do just enough to kind of not do too much, and I appreciated that.
Yeah.
But we're also in a fantasy world, man. Let's let loose a little bit. Let's have some fun. But regardless, the Night King physically has his whites smother the trench across multiple spots. Many whites burn, but the flames are still quickly extinguished and breaching the outer defenses. Thousands of them start swarming around the base of Winterfell's great stone walls, then climb over each in a mass, using their strength to grip into the crevices in the stone. And the Night King makes another run towards the Godswood, but Jon and Daenerys predict where he was headed. Jon spots the Night King and pursues him, and when the Night King approaches the castle walls directly and is just about to strafe Winterfell, Jon attacks him from atop Rhaegal, and Rhaegal clashes with his undead brother, and a battle between the two factions ensues in the skies above Winterfell. And despite having lost so many men out on the field, the castle's walls are a major force multiplier for the defenders, and they kill many more hundreds of whites as they reach the tops of the battlements.
Mm-hmm.
Even so, more keep coming as the snowstorm reduces the castle to a whiteout amidst the flames. And Jaime Lannister is nearly overwhelmed by a dozen whites, but Brienne carves her way to him using her Valyrian steel sword and saves him. This is always one of my favorite little details: is Jaime and Brienne fighting back to back on the walls of Winterfell,
Mm-hmm.
with swords melted down from Ned's.
Oh, that.
They're both using Ned Stark's sword.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Damn, that's really, really cool. And yeah, that shot is just also really cool with like the fire kind of illuminating
Yeah.
behind them
Oh,
and
dude.
then like them.
This is like one of the only examples of a visual gray haze thing that I like. I never like whenever movies or shows decide to do this. But again, it's one of those things that's earned at Winterfell. We've seen Winterfell. We've been here. We've done a lot of shit here.
Mm-hmm.
You've afforded a gray haze, fiery sort of visual palette that
Mm-hmm.
I fucking love. It looks good.
Yeah. And like
But
it's also kind of a story element as well. Like it is the
Mhm.
Night King's storm coming in
It's
and
important.
putting
Yeah.
out all these fires. And it's like, it's not just, I'd say it'd probably be harder to not have that haze and to make everything clear. And,
Oh,
it's
sure.
it's definitely
For
harder.
sure.
But like, I think it's actually
It's
logically.
also harder. It's also harder to shoot something like this beautifully.
Mm,
Like that's
yeah.
the reason gray hazes often look ugly, is because people don't know how to fucking shoot
Yeah.
in
I
that.
guess because
Like,
they're not actually capturing that in camera and it's all added in post.
yeah.
So it's like, I bet a lot of it, it's like, well, it doesn't look good, so let's put even more haze to hide the bad sort of thing.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
like keep adding more and more. But no, you're right. It did
Yeah,
look
so
really good here,
it
and
looked
like
good, man. Like whenever Arya comes over the wall and she's like rolling down and she's going on her fucking rampage and the Hound sees it and stuff, like the sky during that sequence is
Yeah.
fucking gorgeous. But like we'll get there here in a little bit. But
Mm.
Jorah Mormont similarly manages to save Samwell Tarly using Heartsbane, the ancestral Valyrian sword of House Tarly. And Arya manages to pick off many whites with flaming arrows, including one who was trailing Sandor Clegane. And Sandor eventually gets inside, gets hidden, and with his severe fear of fire is left frozen
Mm-hmm.
as Beric Dondarrion urges him to keep fighting. And Sandor, in a panic, I love the way that he calls him a stupid whore.
Yeah, you stupid fucking horror. Like, yeah, he's like, don't
Yeah,
you see
like,
that? Like, he's like, I'm scared of fire. You know that. But then look outside as well. He's like, there's no shot. We stand
that's
no
dead.
chance.
We don't stand a fucking chance.
You
And
stupid
Beric
fucking
pointing up
whore.
at Arya. Yeah.
What?
Tell her that.
Yeah.
I fucking love it. I fucking love
Ah.
it. And him immediately getting called to action, him
he's like,
seeing her run into that room and him being like,
I
goes right
must do
after her.
something now. Yeah. God.
Fuck yeah. I love it. I love it.
Was the start I put scene selection was a little difficult.
Very difficult.
In here. And this was kind of one of the little montages. I guess it's not really a scene. It's just kind of a part out of the episode, but it did start here with Arya absolutely popping off. I did love seeing that. In Davos, got to like see it too for a little bit. I love Davos is just like on a stairwell, and then he's like watching Arya just like go to town with her new weapon. He was like, "Holy shit!" He was like,
Holy
"What
fucking
the fuck?"
shit.
Yeah, and then so that was cool. And then, I guess we haven't. I'll wait on that one. We haven't gotten to one part. But then the Hound, like being scared, and Beric being the one to be like, "Hey, dude, like, come on, let's do this." It was kind of like a nice. It's still chaotic and it's still battle and still everything's going on, but actual like moments are happening
it's
here.
Distinctive part of the episode. Yes.
Yeah.
Like, and that was kind of what was interesting about this one is I don't know how to define scene in stuff like this. Like it felt like
this is one massive scene.
This is one massive
like,
fucking scene with like there are a few scenes that interrupt the big montage of scenes, like the stuff in the crypt, and then what I will eventually pick as my favorite scene. I haven't got there yet, but Melisandre talking to the Hound and Arya in that room when Beric dies, like that whole thing, like that, all of that, those are scenes, and then like This sort of stuff where it's all intercut, it's fascinating because I don't know how to define it as a scene, so to say. But regardless, I think we're about to get to the other part of that, where the tide of the battle turns against the defenders again. And as Lyanna Mormont tries to organize the defense of the main courtyard, a large white giant bashes its way through the main gate and knocks her aside like a rag doll.
Oh,
And
like, oh man, like it was.
Yeah.
It's just so sad to see every time. Like it's like, and
just backhanded out of the way.
oh,
And then
is it sad that it's kind of funny?
Oh, it's
like
funny. It's a little funny.
I hate laughing at it every time, but it's like, oh my god.
It's just the sound, like it's the sound and the visual.
Yes,
you know, like it's
I am in no way like wanting this to happen. You know, like in no way, like
no.
Lyanna Mormont, just a badass
this
little.
could have happened to anybody. It's not the fact that it is Lyanna Mormont. In fact, that's the thing that might take away from what's funny about this scene. If this happens to like anybody, it's like purely funny. Whenever he walks in and is like, you know, like the fucking the slap and the scream when they're getting pushed to the side, like it's a little funny. But
man, imagine you put in that little girl that said, "I'll defend the crypt," but imagine it was her. Imagine like an actual little girl who like should not be there whatsoever. I mean, like maybe Lyanna I don't know if she, like, that's the thing, is that like, yes, she is very set in her ways and she is confident and like the people do rally behind her, but like she is still just a little girl, you know, like, and facing, I don't know, like it's like just morality there. Like, should she really be up there? Like, she doesn't, what is she actually gonna, well, you know what? I'll take that back because she does do something here.
Yes, she does.
Yeah, so
yes, she does.
I'll wait.
She
I'll
gets
eat my
back
words.
up, grabs a dragon glass blade, and charges at the giant. Which she also didn't have to do that. You know, she could have picked up her dragon glass dagger, and ran the other fucking way. But she was like, you know what? Nah, this motherfucker's mine. You know, like love that.
You put your hands on me, you're dying, bro.
You're
done. Yeah, and I think she knew. Like, she knew what she was doing here. Like, I think
she got lucky though.
A little, yeah. The giant could have just stomped on her or like thrown her again.
Well,
but
he also pulls her up and puts her right in front of his fucking face. And then she takes that opportunity as she's getting crushed, squeezed to death, with her hands still free, with one last defiant cry, she stabs the dragon glass into the white giant's eye. It instantly topples and dies.
Oh,
and Lyanna falls free of his grasp, but also passes. Legendary shit from Lyanna Mormont there.
Question. Dragon glass dagger. If I just stab, like, say I stab like him in the leg.
I don't think it matters.
So
I don't
anywhere.
I think they come in contact with the dragon glass and they're fucked. That's kind of because it almost looks like a reaction. Like
it's like
they get touched by it,
like,
and it
okay,
and it affects the rest of them.
So he really didn't need to put her up. Like she could have just like stabbed him in the foot, and he could have still died. But like,
that is interesting to think about. But they're never going to do that.
I like the moment though. No, the moment was so cool, and like, and then seeing the overhead shot of kind of like them both laying there, like, yeah, it was. I mean,
little lady Lyanna Mormont, giant slayer. That's fucking hard. That's fucking cool.
That's right. Who are the only other giant killers we have in the tunnel? The 6 that held the tunnel. They killed a giant.
Ramsay.
Oh fuck. Yeah. Why does Ramsay have to be in there? Fuck.
Gren. Gren was the one who killed the giant.
Gren and the gods aren't here. We are, or whatever. Hard fucking that badass and little
night gathers, and now our watch begins. They like start reciting the Night's Watch oath as he comes. Like, it's hard, fucking hard.
But and now we got another one. We got little Lady Mormont,
Ramsay, and Lyanna Mormont. So a very small group of people there who have killed a giant. But we are into the next part of the episode where Winterfell has been overrun and all remaining order of the siege collapses as the Whites spread to surround any remaining pockets of resistance here and there around the castle. And Arya, who was knocked out against a stone wall, by the way, one of the most viscerally, physically affecting scenes of the
Boom.
episode for me.
Yeah.
When her head fucking clunks,
I mean,
I literally, like, this is the part that has affected me since the first time I watched it, so I always know it's coming. And it happened last night while I was sitting there, and I went like this. Like,
yeah,
I just fucking,
boom.
god damn.
I mean, because with Arya, every time before you're comfortable. She's just owning shit. Like every time you see her, she is like just.
You need to impair her for it to be interesting with her, because she's gonna fucking kill everybody regardless.
Yeah. And
so now she's got a terrible concussion, and that's what the rest of the episode is like for her.
Never know what's gonna happen, I mean, man, think about that. A wounded Arya still got the Night King. Okay. Yeah,
but that's when we get into my favorite scene of the episode. I fucking love the horror version of Silent Library that Arya gets to play. Did you ever watch Silent Library?
I didn't know, but I didn't watch it, but I know the concept.
She gets to play the most fucked up version of Silent Life. It's not like, oh, you lose. It's like, oh, you die.
You die.
If you make a sound. And I love this scene every time, man. Like, it's visually brilliant. I love the shots of like the blurred out whites as they're like marching through, and like part of them is in focus, and like
the bookshelves, like the camera going in between each one of them, and then like stopping, like you kind of see the next one for a little bit, so if there's someone in that little hallway, but then like it stops and you don't see the next one for a little bit, and you're like and she's about to go, and you're like, there's a lot of little moments that are even like really scary.
She uses every aspect of her training in this episode, which is far and away the coolest thing about Arya. I'm gonna be for real. This is my favorite scene. Arya is my favorite character, and Maisie Williams is my favorite performance. Like she's sweeping this shit for me.
Okay.
I absolutely loved her in this. So like, and I was tempted to go with someone else for performance, but like we do spend a lot of time with Arya, dude. Like we spend a lot of time with Arya and her reactions to things. She obviously doesn't get to say a lot, but that's not important in this episode. It's not important.
It's not dialogue that the performance comes from at all. I have 4 people here for performance, and I put them in order of who I think actually deserves them the most. And Maisie Williams is number 1. She was the first one I put down. I just thought like, holy shit, like yes, like she is
She's
doing
too fucking good, man. And when it came to character, I wanted to spread the love beyond Red Woman. That was kind of my goal. Because I like Red Woman is undoubtedly one of the top 3 MVPs and probably like the most important. Arya Stark, obviously does the fucking deed.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like she's a non-factor. She is the other factor.
No, but it really is this whole sequence, like including your scene that you talked about, leading into this, that kind of lent her to my character, and the protection of Sansa at the beginning, being like, go down there, like it's okay, like we'll handle shit up here. Like just a beautiful piece of character work for not a lot of dialogue, which I absolutely adore. But
you're gonna love this.
What's that?
That character nod bumps her up to 9, which ties her perfectly with Sandor Clegane. That's pretty fucking cool. And the only people above them are the 10s tied, Tyrion Lannister and Oberyn Martell.
Ooh.
And then Daenerys and Jon, obviously up there at the top still. But yeah, I like the tie with the Hound. That's pretty sweet.
Yeah, and I don't know if they'll get any more. That might be it for them. So like they might finish the show
and
like that, which is cool. But
Melisandre one and done for character. This is her.
Was that her first?
Her first character, and she won't get another one. She is dead.
Okay. I'm pretty sure I've given her a performance, so I think she's gotten a performance and a character.
Do you know her name?
Yeah, Carice, Carice.
Yes, she has gotten 1 performance, so that is where she got something.
She ended up putting up 1 in each, which in a show like this,
that's difficult. That's actually
difficult, like pulling that off. That's impressive, especially when she played such an unlikable character for so fucking long.
Yeah. Wow. Man, what an arc for her. Like a
Yeah, this was the
crazy.
perfect fulfillment of the arc for Melisandre. Like this
Mhm.
is and it feels the same for Arya. Like it feels like I said, she's using every aspect of her training. She's doing water dancing. She's doing faceless men stuff here. She does faceless men stuff later on when she kills the Night King. Like, there's all
Mm.
sorts of stuff she's utilizing. But yeah, whenever she like slides across the room and climbs under the table and she doesn't make a fucking sound, but then the blood drips and that's what alerts them. Like that's
Damn. You know you're
it's impressive shit.
quiet
Yeah,
when the blood dripping is the only sounds you're making. That's yeah, she is a weapon, dude. She's
yeah.
Batman. She's like oh my god, she's a literal ninja. Like
She is.
it's
Dude, and I love one of my favorite moments of the episode. And I'm not a huge gore guy or like I don't love gore but I do love zombies and I love zombie killing. Like that's awesome shit to me. So when she
uh,
comes around the corner when she makes it out and one of the whites is about to make a noise and she just stabs her through the throat up through his mouth and the blood comes pouring out of the mouth and
bleh,
like that's not the
bleh.
sort of thing that I'm
Yeah,
into. I hate that typically. That's sort of the stuff that I always want to like close, but they're so satisfying
it was
about
awesome.
Arya
No.
doing it that it's so fucking cool. Like it's so cool. But yeah, it's mostly because it's a zombie. If it's ever a real person with gore, it's always like, but
Yeah.
zombies, I'm like, that's like the
Yeah.
gore that I can get with because like they're
Yeah.
already dead, like
Yeah,
they're dead,
human, they spit up like red, like blood, and it's like deep red, and like
Yeah.
that's just something different. But like, it's just
I
black,
was like
kind of
black
tar. Like, yeah, it's just like,
goo.
it's just like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
yeah, whatever. And it kind of felt like a
Just
mercy kill, almost a little bit. Like she laid her down, like so, like I guess not to make a sound. That's kind of the
yeah.
important part, actually. Duh. Hello, but
Dude,
no,
but again, and then the sequence that follows whenever she gets outside the door and she hears whites coming,
yeah,
uh,
closing the
they
door
burst through the
slowly.
door. That
Mm-hmm.
alerts the whites that were in the library that they burst through the door, so they come bursting through the door. And then it's really this part that cinches her performance nod for me is her running through the halls of Winterfell. Um,
Mm.
uh, this we do not get to see Macy Williams fearful. She is never afraid of shit in this entire show. And what she's doing here is probably the best scared besides
Yeah.
Rory McCann as the Hound in the entire episode.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah.
like those I would say they're the top two in terms of performing that like
Mm.
horrified sort
Yeah.
of thing.
Yeah, Sleeper I didn't think of for performance, but
Oh yeah,
um
he's good in this one too. But no, I remember this piece of promo for season 8. Do you remember like this clip of her
her just running,
running
yes,
through
through
the
the
halls
halls.
and everyone kind of being like,
What does that
"What
mean?
could be
Like
scaring Arya that bad?" And like it was only one option, like it had to be the Army of the Dead. So like it was so cool to just remember all these sorts of things as I was watching it, like how I felt watching it for the
mm,
first time and how season 8 coming
woo.
up, how we were all theorizing about everything. Like it was so fucking cool. But
Mm.
yeah, she makes her way through and ultimately she runs into Sandor and Beric, who are also trying to sneak through Winterfell looking for Arya. That was their goal, was trying to find Arya. Um, however, also fleeing whites and help fight them off. The trio make a running retreat through the narrow hallways of the castle's interior, and eventually Beric is stabbed multiple times, and he gets some real Christ-like imagery
Yeah,
as he.
yeah, like I love that he just also makes it in the room with him afterwards.
Oh
Like
yeah,
he like
a little
obviously
stumbling
yeah,
fall he does.
he obviously kind of like stays behind to like block all of the dead to like kind of getting from them, sort of thing. Like it seemed that he was going for like a sacrifice play, like
Mhm.
no, go on without me. I won't make it, sort of thing. But then it's just like no, he just kind of stumbles in the room right afterwards and
Dives in.
whatever. But
And that was one
uh,
of the examples of like you said at the beginning of the episode, like they're just on a set. Like it is hilarious to think about like the
yeah.
performance that Merrick is putting on
Oh
there, like
wow. Yeah,
him stumbling through the door and collapsing to the ground. Like they said action, and that was what they had to do was
that's
run through
fair.
the door, and he had to stumble.
Yeah, the
Like
dude
it's
actually did not get stabbed 500
right.
times in
Like
like and to be fair, anyone in the world, this dude right here is the most used to being stabbed out of anyone.
That's
I like
true.
literally there's no better person to be stabbed repeatedly over and
Bro's
over.
literally been hanged.
I gotta
You know, like
imagine that, like, because he keeps all of his scars and everything internally. That dude has to just be like scar tissue. There's no
mush.
actual anything left. So like when he's getting stabbed, it's not even like doing damage really. It's just like, yeah, I've been stabbed there before.
Reopening old wounds. Yeah.
So like that's my headcanon for him being totally fine after being stabbed,
Yeah.
by just over and over. It's just like, well, out of anyone in
And
the world.
He meets a similar fate as his boy Thoros. He doesn't get a last word in, which it is what it is. But well, his last word, I think he might have said something to Arya amidst the running through the halls and stuff.
Yeah, he does just
But
get a look
goddamn,
at
when he
Arya.
tosses his fucking sword and he throws it and saves Arya, like MVP shit right there. Like, I love that the fulfillment of the Lord of Light sort of arc happens here. Like all of them all have this is what it's been for, and I absolutely love that. Like
This
that's
is
so
why
fucking cool.
the Hound and Arya's relationship was a thing, in the first place, so that he would break out of his fear and actually go to save her. Beric has been brought back so many times over and over just to make sure that Arya is alive for this moment. It's like, it's kind of shitty to look at it that way, like Beric's whole life is just for this one moment here, but it's like he still had his whole life,
Fucking
everything,
like
but
that's a high purpose,
you know what?
like
Actually, I
you are
wouldn't be
being
too
kept
mad.
alive so that so that the army of the dead can be laid to rest permanently.
what?
You
Okay.
know,
Yeah, actually, pretty
that's
badass.
a pretty big purpose. That's more purpose than a lot of people can ask for. But
fair
a
enough.
lot of people only get to die once. But eventually, Beric stumbles through those doors along with Sandor and Arya, and he succumbs to his injuries. Ultimately, standing above him, but Arya and Sandor also find Melisandre waiting in the room, which does indicate there was a degree of like a vision, like she knows where she needs to be, she knows what's coming, she knows what has to happen.
Oh, funny, you guys should show up here. And just
fancy meeting you here.
Interesting.
She says Beric has fulfilled his purpose for the Lord of Light. And Arya recalls that they've met before, and Melisandre said that they would meet again. And Melisandre reminds Arya that she said Arya would close many eyes forever. Brown eyes, green eyes, and blue ones.
Oh my
and
god.
asks Arya, yeah.
So no, I just made it's not even, it's not what you're thinking whatsoever. I'm going down a completely different road. Did Melisandre, okay, Gendry and Melisandre, I know that she just put the leeches on him and whatever, but like, did they ever actually do anything sexual, like whatsoever? Yeah, so she just got naked. There was no actual, like, because I was about to say that Arya and Melisandre, they could have been Eskimo sisters, or I don't know what's the like Eskimo bro. I don't know if there's like a female like, equivalent for that.
I saw. I think it's sisters. I think it's just flopping the name there. But yeah, I saw a discourse a couple weeks ago that was like, it's such a great idea to have a name for that, but it sucks that it's like it's accompanied by like by what is now known as a slur of sorts. Like,
is that really?
Yeah.
Oh, I had no idea. Oh, I did not know that.
So that's why I'm like, I just want to let you know, inform you, because it sucks. Because that's a great idea. We should have a name for people like that who have had sex with the same people. And it doesn't even make sense. Like, why is that the fucking?
Yeah, isn't that just like? Yeah, what a weird
just Inuit people.
It's
just Inuit people.
But that's always what I've thought. And like, okay, this makes more sense that it is like a slur. Now that I know, like it always has just been a weird word to me. But okay, sorry to everyone there. But now this is a learning moment for me.
This is a learning moment. It's important. Yeah, I'm trying to. I don't know the history behind it or why it's not socially acceptable, but I just know that's what I've learned in recent years. So future reference.
But yeah,
Good. It's
that's
good learning
was
moment.
not going down the green eye, brown eye, blue eye route whatsoever. I was just literally
You're like,
trying to
have they
think
fucked the same guy?
of like, did Melisandre, just
Have
it is
they
funny
been?
that the last time they met was whenever she took Gendry away, right?
Mhm.
Like that's the only time they've
Yeah.
met is like that little
That's the
moment.
only time they cross
And
paths.
then
Yeah.
eventually Gendry comes back. That's the only person Arya's ever fucked or had sex with, and now like it's I don't know, it's kind of just this little
No, they've got like the
closed world
intricacies
sort of thing, but
of the of the universe are really, really interesting. I always love it. But Arya, the Hound, and Melisandre mount against her, and Melisandre leans into Arya and asks, "What do we say out of death?"
dude,
And Arya responds, "Not today."
love
And
it,
she just goes
man.
ahead.
I love
Yeah.
this shit. That was my line. I mean, there were many lines that made me feel like, oh yes, like sticking with the pointy end. That was like a nice callback. It didn't hit as hard as this one quite, but almost there. And a few other ones that were like, oh man, what, like the history behind this one line is insane. And this one just has a whole, like it's Arya's whole arc, but then also it's like, how the fuck you know that, Melis? Like what's up with that?
How the fuck you know that?
Is Syrio Forel and Jaqen H'ghar a little more connected than we once thought? Is Melisandre pulling the strings behind Jaqen H'ghar maybe, or is it could all just be the fucking god that's doing this shit anyways?
God,
But
Lord of Light, are they all the same fucking guy? I think so.
the story writer,
yeah,
ideally, really
True.
is who it is at the end of the day. But in universe, God.
What do we say to the god of death?
Not today.
Not today.
Let's fucking
shit.
go.
Love
I'm
that
hyped
shit.
now, and
Let's get it.
But-
Let's head back above the castle where the dragons are locked in a battle in the sky above Winterfell, with Jon and the Night King fighting in fierce close quarters mid-air brawl on their dragons. And Viserion badly claws Rhaegar's belly, and that was another one of those moments that kind of made me flinch. Like, oh god damn, like that's visceral. And while the Night King readies another one of his dragon-killing ice javelins, hilarious imagery. It's always so fucking funny. He's just on the back of the dragon, like. He's getting fucking flung around because like they're on the back, and so he's just kind of like, God damn, I can't get a shot. I can't get a clear shot.
Steady, you stupid thing! Like, oh my god,
Viserion. Yeah, no, it's hilarious. But the dragons are swirling around so chaotically, you can't get a good shot. And despite his wounds, Rhaegal manages to land a bite on Viserion and tears the left half of his face off. Leads to some really cool imagery where Viserion can't control his fire, can't keep it in, so it's just bursting out. Very cool stuff.
Yeah.
But again, this is not enough to stop him. It is, however, enough to significantly distract the Night King, who doesn't notice Daenerys' approach on Drogon, and they collide with Viserion with such impact that the Night King is spilled from his mount. While Drogon tears into Viserion, Rhaegal, however, is badly wounded enough that he needs to make a forced landing, dropping Jon on the ground before fleeing. And Drogon sends badly injured Viserion crashing into the castle while Jon regains himself on the ground, finding he is on the abandoned outer battlefield and not far from the Night King, who is proceeding on foot to the breach in the walls leading to the Godswood and Bran. And Daenerys reaches the Night King, and with the command of Dracarys, Drogon blasts.
That's right. That does happen first.
Yeah, and the music swells. I remember watching this for the first time and going, so that's not how he dies then, we're too early in this episode.
It sticks on him for a little bit too long afterwards too. The fire's just a little, they're staying on it for a little too long, and the music isn't right. It's not like we just won. This is like, did that work?
Yeah, like
it's like
shifts into like whenever he like gets fully shown, and it shifts into like that like low rumbling like
dude, this little smile, this little itty bitty like. Did he know that he was going to survive that? Did the Night King, like, maybe he was like, well, this could be it. I don't know. And then
no, he doesn't know. Yeah. Nobody's ever tried it before, as Bran said.
So I think like he has no clue what's coming, and then afterwards it's gotta feel like a Luke's, but Luke in The Last Jedi, he knew that he was just a projection. He knew he wasn't going to die whatsoever, but it felt kind of like the brushing, like come at, is that all you got sort of moment.
Yeah.
But in this case, he for real didn't know if he was going to die or not. But I think, like, if I was the Night King, I would feel pretty safe, against anything
I'm
fire.
assuming. I think he had a good idea he would be fine.
Yeah.
But there is the chance. He's like, I guess this has never happened before. Maybe I can't stand up to Dragonfire.
But I love I don't know, I put him in here. I don't think I will go with him for the episode, but I wanted to give him some nods just for performing Vladimir Furdik, Furdik. Furdik. I think that's just kind of that's kind of hilarious. But sorry for butchering your name, but you definitely, I don't know. I like you don't say a single word, but I love your just menacing look and little grins that you give.
It's a good physical performance, man. It is a good physical performance. It's a little. I mean, it's harrowing. He does a really good job, and I think that a lot of people wanted the Night King to talk at some point. Which, I mean, I wouldn't have been opposed to, but I don't think it actually actively takes away from him that he doesn't.
Like, what do you think would he say, like, one line? Would he have, like, a conversation? Like, that's the thing. I don't even know what I would want him to say,
literally, I would have wanted to hear one thing, and it would have been in the season 7 finale when he's at the wall and Viserion is hovering there. If the Night King could have gone, Dracarys, and it would have been the only thing he said, that would have been fucking pimp. That would have been fucking pimp.
Okay.
I don't even know what he sound like. I imagine it would be deep and menacing, and it'd be funny if he was just like
Dracarys. Yeah, like just the most child voice out of nowhere. For some reason in my head, I thought this was Ray Park. I don't know why. I maybe it's just like Maul,
the Maul connection,
and like just the opposite.
He's got the
like
horns on his head.
Yeah, it's like just it would be really cool if this was Maul or like Ray Park, because like the just polar opposites of the characters. But no, it's not Ray Park. I don't know why I had that in my head, but good old Vladimir. I wanted just to give you a little.
He also played. He also played the White at the Battle of Hardhome that Jon fights.
Okay. Wow.
So he's also the guy who they show get the Dragonglass dagger shoved into his chest. So they maintain that guy being the Night King pretty much all the way through. He's I'm pretty sure he was a stunt coordinator for the show.
Yeah.
So he was a stunt coordinator for the show. He could do a lot of the cool, like, White Walker movements. So they were just kind of like, you want to be the fucking Night King, and he was. So
he is the army of the dead.
Absolutely outstanding. That's so it's all almost practical.
Like the makeup and everything. Yeah.
It's not CG. Like, that is on him, which is, I mean, like,
and the armor.
It looks so natural. It can only be practical, but the idea that is literally on a human guy is insane.
That is true.
It was the same makeup studio that did Stranger Things season 4, the fucking
Mind Flare. Is that
no,
the
not
previous?
The Mind Flare.
It's the
fucking the new guy, the one who's got like the creepy crawly skin, and I feel like it starts with some weird, it's some weird fucking name.
What season? Which one?
I think it's 4.
Vecna. Is that
Vecna?
Vecna.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
they did Vecna, like that whole fucking. So like they're the makeup artists who did this are very cooking. Very fucking talented.
Yeah. They are cooking over there. But his armor, I don't know. I kind of looked more at their armor this time, like, and I was wondering if, like, because like the White Walkers, I guess some of them are Craster's babies or whatever, but obviously the Night King isn't. So like some of them are human, some of them are whatever. But like the armor on the White Walkers is like uniform. Like they all have the same armor. It's not like the armor of the person that was wearing, that was just dead or whatever, and they just took that person's armor. Like this looks like they
forge it. Yeah.
They made this armor. Like, and before I'm like, they're ice spears. It just feels like they could like just put their arm out and just make one, like if they wanted to, So like I've never thought about anything further than that, but their armor like leads me to believe that like and this is a TV show. They're obviously not just going to be like naked or whatever, but like it leads you to believe more like they have like some civilization back there. They have blacksmiths. They have like, like, because they had symbols on the armor, like the Night King had a different symbol versus the other White Walkers and his other people. So could just be a TV show and just a costume department thing that, they're just doing it like that. But I don't know. It was really cool it's a way to give them some mythos without saying anything and having to do anything. But I thought it was just really cool to get like this close-up look, and it more so when they walk into the Godswood and like you're seeing them all right there side by side. But I don't know, I thought it was really cool to like their just design, everything. It really, they gave him a really cool look, and even though he doesn't say anything, he doesn't really need to. He's just
He's just that guy.
Death. Yeah, he is just death. So.
But, when the smoke dissipates, Bran's warning is proven unfortunately correct. Even Dragonfire cannot kill the Night King, who is completely undamaged, and he still has one ice javelin left, and he readies to throw it at Drogon. And Daenerys flees, narrowly dodging the shot.
Eesh. Yeah,
But after this, Jon decides it's time to pursue. But just as he is about to reach him, the Night King silently turns to him, to which Jon decides it's time to stop in his tracks because I don't know. There's decisions Jon makes when running that are stupid. The dude doesn't know how to run. He can't think and run at the same time.
Fair. I guess, what is he about to do? Resurrect, yes, we know, but like maybe he was about to do something different, Like maybe Jon's like, I don't know what this guy's capable of. Maybe he's about to freaking throw a huge snowball at me somehow. Right, I don't know. But no, you're right. This was kind of a...
No, yeah, I'm like, just keep running, bro. He turned around. You planned on fighting him anyway.
Your goal is to go at the guy, and this is the guy you need to kill. So, but it does make for...
It makes for a good scene.
Very cool moment.
When he realizes what he's doing, that's when he decides he's going to keep running at him.
That is true. He does stop and he's like, "Oh, you are actually doing the thing. I should be running right now.
I should be running at you." Oh. And it's not like the distance he's at once he does get fully ready. I don't think he would have made it there anyway, but he would have been closer. It would have been a little bit more of like if they could have done like an intercutting of like him raising his arms and Jon trying to get to him and him raising his arms and him trying to get it to him.
Okay.
And then they cut to him like an eye opening and then them getting like there's just a...
I see.
I like the ominousness of the scene. I like the way they play the slow play up, but it's just I don't know. I feel like it could have been a little more. Mostly just because I wanted a Night King and Jon face off, and the fact that we never really got it, and the fact that I like the idea that the way we never get it is the Night King's too big of a pussy too.
I think it's if we do get that fight, the Night King doesn't make it out. Like I think it's like
no, yeah.
Even if there is a situation where they do get separated and it's kind of just a draw, but even like Jon clearly won the battle, like he would have won and the Night King had to escape, I think people still would have been like, they wouldn't have liked that. I think it is honestly better that Jon just never got the opportunity like to even face him. But definitely, it seems that that's what they're building towards, and like that this is the fight you want to see.
It's a shame that in the final battle of the Whites, Jon's essentially a non-factor. Like that does suck,
Wow.
It's just kind of like it's what his whole arc has. Whereas the conclusion of this arc for the Lord of Light side of things, Melisandre, Arya, Beric Dondarrion, the Hound, it all feels so complete. It feels right. This is how their story is supposed to end. I can absolutely see how people are a little not cool with the way it ends for Jon, because this has been his storyline since season 1. Like this is what his story has been building to.
Yeah, they're doing a little bit of Dune without even realizing like the women are for real the ones responsible for all the wins. Like Battle of the Bastards, that's not actually Jon. Like he does a lot of cool shit in there, but like Sansa is the win. The win here.
The Bene Gesserits are really lurking.
Melisandre and Arya. Who else has a bigger impact? And Daenerys, Arya, Melisandre. Tell me who has a bigger impact on this battle than those three.
Nobody. That's the crew, you know?
Like,
Like, it really is. But,
man, wow, yeah, John did. Oh, I didn't really.
yeah, John gets sidelined hard in season 8.
Yeesh.
And it's a tough thing to kinda rationalize. I ultimately love the very end of his story, but the work they do with John's character, it's underwhelming.
Mm,
Underwhelming in season 8, and, that really sucks,
wow,
but,
wow, wow.
yeah, but John finds himself surrounded again and struggles to fight off the new whites, as the Night King continues into the Godswood. But in the crypt, Sansa and the others can hear a handful of living men desperately pounding on the heavy doors to let them in, but they know they cannot risk a flood of whites passing the barricade, and they hear the men's cries quickly silence. And the whites themselves cannot find a way in, but there are plenty of dead bodies in the crypts for the White Walkers to reanimate. And suddenly, many of the interred corpses rise as the whites start clawing their way out of tombs, and they are fairly old and not in the best shape. But the women and children are totally unarmed, and many succumb to the whites. Um, Sansa and Tyrion hide behind one tomb, contemplating on helping the women and children in the fight against the newly made whites in the crypt with the
Hmm.
dragon glass they were given. Um,
I don't get this now, but on first watch, I'm curious. This, like, I literally thought that they were making like a suicide
Suicide
pact sort
Pact.
of thing,
Yeah,
and I'm like, are
Suicide
we
Pact
about
hard.
to like say goodbye to some? Like, is this how they're gonna go? And but I love that it
And
is
I
like
still think that's kind of what they're agreeing on. They're not agreeing to kill themselves
it's
right
just
here.
go fight until we die. Like it's kind of like we
Yeah,
will.
like they're agreeing that this is what we need to do and we might die doing it. You know, like
Yeah.
so it's not a literal suicide pact, but I do think it's them accepting that they may die here.
Yes, it's
Um
not like, okay, clearly we're not just gonna slit our throats here, like
yeah,
that's
yeah.
not what we're
But
doing,
that
but
is what I thought the
we're
first time I watched it. And
mhm.
it looks like that, man. I and this is when the best piece of music for the entire show starts kicking in. When they're
Oh,
sitting there, The Long Night starts to play by Ramin Djawadi. That piano is fucking nasty. That bum 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 ba-dum,
dude's nutty with the keys.
ba-dum,
Yeah,
bum
what re
bum
isn't he
ba-dum.
also Westworld? That like, isn't
Yes,
that him? Yeah.
Westworld.
Dude's got it
He
with
did
the piano.
Eternals.
Yeah, he's,
Uh,
mm, man, no,
dude's
this
nasty.
this was the start of my other,
Yeah, and like
montage or
yeah,
scene,
that this
basically,
part
but
of the episode might be the best part of the entire fucking show. Like, it's one of the best.
it's
I
what I'll go
absolutely
with.
agree.
Like, it is just
It's like
I
8 to 10 minutes
yeah, I
of
guess
them.
kind of unfair to, like, choose it as, like, a
That's
scene,
why I'm like, I
but
didn't go like, I will acknowledge it as my favorite part of the episode. I don't know how to declare it a scene. I don't know when a scene starts and stops
yeah,
strictly in this
'cause
sort of scenario.
I have
Um,
Tyrion and Sansa defending the crypt. I also have Theon defending Bran and Jon screaming at
a
Viserion.
dead dragon. Yeah.
So it's a lot, and it leads
It's a lot.
literally right before the Night King dies is like
Yeah.
what it's
It's
leading
the
up
last
to.
it's
So,
it's 10 of the last 12 minutes of the episode.
mhm.
So, like, it's a long chunk, but it's fucking good, man. It's great. I love the tension they build. The editing is brilliant. The visuals are excellent. Uh, but as Jon fights off his surrounding whites, Daenerys appears with Drogon and burns them up from the air. And Jon calls to Daenerys, planning to pursue the Night King, and Daenerys tells Jon to go. And after Jon follows the Night King, Daenerys and Drogon land, but stay on the ground for moments too long, finding Drogon being swarmed by dozens of whites. And he just barely manages to fly away, still covered in them. But Daenerys is knocked off his back in the process. However, Jorah, Jorah, baby.
Let's
Jorah
go,
appears
man.
and helps Daenerys fight off the whites, and Daenerys picks up a dragon glass sword from the ground, but they are both exhausted and more whites surround them again. Jon, meanwhile, fights his way back to the courtyard on the castle on foot, only to be pinned down by the grounded but still very dangerous Viserion. And this whole sequence, his march, he gets a really cool hallway scene where it's not as like
Mm.
badass as like some other hallway scenes, but him getting through, killing a couple whites, crashing through the ceiling, crashing through the walls, and him closing the fucking door on
Yes.
them.
Oh
Yeah,
my
fucking
god,
dope.
dude.
Um,
Yeah. Like when the ceiling collapsed on him, it
mhm.
kind of felt like an accident. Like it kind of felt like um I don't know. It felt like he might not have supposed to have fallen like on set, but he did, and it just kind of I don't know. It works either way, like if it was planned or
No,
not.
yeah. I remember watching the documentary on the making of season 8 because I mean, like it was the big send off. Entirely choreographed. Like that was a very meticulously planned out
Makes sense.
part of the episode. Like they spend a good chunk of the documentary showing how they did that, and
That's
it's
awesome.
like because it's a beautiful sequence. Like it's and it's mostly practical. Obviously, like John's not actually getting crushed by stuff falling from the ceiling. They do need to do something to kind of make that look a little more intense. But like it. I remember specifically the way they did like the slamming of the gate and all of the like whites like reaching through.
Yeah. Oh,
It's
yeah. Is that real people or is that just all?
some of it is, and some of it is like animatronic. Like some of it is
Oh.
like because like they move in kind of like a unison, sort of like
Huh.
they're wiggling their hands and stuff.
Mhm.
It's cool, but
Wow.
regardless, John has a little face off with Viserion, and a stab from John's Valyrian steel sword might kill the undead dragon, but it is simply too volatile to approach. Badly wounded beyond the point of a living dragon would have expired, and the huge rents in his body leaked great bursts of fire
Was
as
cool,
it continued to
dude.
crash around the rubble.
What a great choice just to do this. Like this was
Oh, dude, I love it. The only thing that would have made this better is if John had actually killed this fucking dragon.
or I know he got burned from the lantern earlier. God, if they could have had a moment of like
They reveal
to
he's
solidify,
unburnt.
yes, to solidify that he is a Targaryen that is unburnt and like I wanted him like Viserion, like him that how the Night King got burnt. Daenerys burning him. I wanted the
It
parallel
was
and
so fucking cold to get like a parallel with that with Daenerys, but a parallel with his fight with like Ramsay. Like whenever he like sticks up the shield and he just keeps walking towards him and he keeps doing it. But like if he's just hammering him with fire and he
and just unfazed, just keep
keeps
walking.
forward, like that'd be so pimp. That'd be so pimp.
Ooh, wow.
But
Oh man.
yeah, no, but even so, I would have loved for him to kill the dragon and it not be an immunity thing. Like if he doesn't get to face off with the Night King, let him slay the fucking dragon.
Something.
That's the only thing we've never seen in Game of Thrones is a human just fucking slay a dragon, which would have been fucking awesome. Like
Dude,
and
man.
where he is such a non-factor, why not just give it to him?
And
Why not just go ahead and show him
the dragon's gonna
this
die anyways at the end when the
Yeah.
Night King dies. Like it died, it just falls and it just lands in front of Jon, and Jon's like, "Oh, okay, well that's good," Like but oh man, yeah, that is.
I'm imagining like him like finding a way up through the castle battlements and like jumping off and getting like a fucking just right in the throat and then sliding all the way down. Like that would have been gnarly.
Oh, we need a fan remake or something
need
of
a
this.
fan remake,
That is
bro.
like that's too good.
That'd be
Holy
so fucking
crap.
cool. So again, I'm going with the stuff that would be cool. It's just that the stuff like in this sequence is already good. Like I don't want to undersell it. It's just that given John's kind of being sidelined throughout the last season, it would have been nice for him to get one last epic moment, which I don't think you can say he gets. I think that like the last epic moment he has is season 7, episode 6.
Oh,
and even that, it's not even really.
Like
I'm talking like badass. Like he does get some pretty iconic visual, great moments. Like when he
Battle of the Bastards is definitely undoubtedly yes for sure, but since then
he's been cool. He's been bold. Like I love whenever he's like he decides he's gonna north of the wall. Like that shit's cool. Like that. But like in terms of in a battle, doing the fucking cool shit, I don't think he gets another one after Battle of the Bastards. And it would have been nice if he could have done. If you're not gonna let him kill the Night King, which is cool. I like Arya killing the Night King. I'm personally a big fan of that idea, and I like. It's just doing it for the sake of subverting expectations that it would be Jon. I'm not entirely cool with, but it working for Arya's story does. So like, but if Jon could have done something, bro. Just something. I would have loved it. But yeah, Jon is hastily forced to dive for cover as Viserion catches sight of him and lets loose a torrent of fire and incinerating the courtyard, which barely misses Jon. And facing certain death and with the battle seemingly lost, Jon emerges from his hiding place and, resolving to die with what courage he can muster, bellows defiance at Viserion as the undead dragon's jaws gape open, either to devour Jon or blast him with flame. All the while, Whites advance through Winterfell's Godswood and are picked off by Theon's archers one by one. Each of the defenders is killed, including Alice Karstark, until only Theon is left, taking out a dozen or more Whites until he runs out of arrows. And suddenly the Whites stop, forming a ring around the weirwood tree, then step aside to make a path for the Night King himself, followed along by other White Walkers and a horde of Whites, some of them temporarily halted by the Night King. Bran Stark turns to Theon and says, "You are a good man. Thank you." And finding redemption for his past crimes against Bran and Winterfell and no longer afraid to die, Theon grabs a spear and courageously charges at the Night King. Of course, it was not enough, and I think he knew it wouldn't be enough. Gotta try.
Yeah, a lot of people were like, really? This is the play you make and whatever? He knows he's dead. If you're going to go out, I'm going out like this, Like, I'm going out charging the main motherfucker to see if I could. Like, I'm probably
if you can, you save the fucking world.
Yeah, like, I am going to die, but on the off chance that I touch that man with this spear, he's dead, Like, maybe he chucks it, maybe that's kind of more the play. You run, and then kind of at the last second, you just throw it. But hey, he's dying here.
Got that shit on him. I feel like he just kind of be like,
I mean, he did catch. I mean, that's what he did do. Like, Theon was running. He was just full on. Like, Night King was like, all right, whatever. And then he just gets there, catches it, snaps it in half, and then stabs Theon with it. So
Theon is granted probably the longest death scene in the entire show here also, by the way.
They really do show. And
they really, really let it breathe. Slow motion all the way through, all the way up to him getting stabbed, and then they show him on the ground.
Yeah, the Night King like
where
looking
he's
over
still
him.
alive for a couple seconds. And he's just bleeding, and then he dies. So like, it's probably a good minute that we spend with him fucking dying.
Yeah, that's why I gave Alfie Allen. He was another one of my nods. So it went
good, man.
It went Macy Williams first, then Kit Harington, and then Alfie Allen was my order that I went in. So Macy Williams might deserve the double here. I don't know, but to spread the love, I might give it to Kit, even though he didn't get really.
I mean, he's good, man.
Yeah. He didn't get a moment in the episode, Now that you say that, it kind of stings a little bit that Jon, kind of the main.
He doesn't really get a moment in the entire fucking season.
But I do like him here, so I think I'll spread the love. I think Macy Williams is definitely the one, but I do like to spread the love a little bit. I'll give Kit, but man.
With no one left to defend Bran, the Night King walks slowly towards him at the base of the tree, and the music picks up again. Fucking love it. Bum 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 bum. Like, it's just fucking swelling, dude. I love this song. But Bran looks up at his foe with pity. The Night King staring down at his age-old nemesis and the three-eyed raven in triumph. And as the Night King draws the sword sheathed on his back for the killing blow, a sudden wisp of wind catches the attention of one of his White Walker lieutenants. And the shot of him reaching for his sword and Arya emerging, fucking dope. And he turns around, spins, and catches her by the throat in one hand and her wrist in the other. He only has a moment to leer at her before she drops the dagger out of her left hand and catches it with her still free right hand and drives the blade into his chest, shattering him into icy shards. And with the Night King destroyed, the other White Walkers shatter as well, and in turn, every White falls. All around Winterfell, the surviving and surrounded defenders see the Whites suddenly drop and fall apart, the magic animating their dead flesh and sinews departing. And the undead Viserion dies for the final time in the courtyard, saving Jon Snow. The Whites attacking Jorah and Daenerys drop dead, but Jorah is fatally wounded defending Daenerys. And he dies in the arms of the woman he loves as Daenerys cries while holding him, My top 2 was Emilia Clarke. Emilia Clarke's performance here
Ooh.
was fucking gutting.
Okay, that is
Um,
really good. And you can tell Jorah was trying to get out a last "I love you,"
mm,
but could not, you know? Like it like or maybe I don't know if it
dude,
was "I
and
love you,"
whenever like,
but
there's a moment I this is one of my favorite deaths in the show. I love Jorah going out here. It's really one of like I also loved
oh,
Jorah throughout the show. But
dude.
whenever the whites are coming up behind them and he pushes Dany out of the way and you think he's gonna like swing his sword up, but he literally pushes her out of the way
Mm,
so that the white would stab him. Like that's all like and the wound on his chest after it is so like, dude,
yeah, it's
it's
like
so
but
fucking
he's still
cool.
going, and then he
Yeah,
knows when the fight is over.
he
It's like a
can't stop.
marathon runner. It's like he's
Yeah,
like, "Whole," like, and he
he
just
can't stop
drops and
until it's done, until he knows Daenerys is safe, and, like, legendary shit from Jorah Mormont. If it wasn't Arya, it was gonna be Jorah. So, like, if it wasn't
mm,
Arya, it was gonna be Emilia Clarke. If it wasn't Arya, it was gonna be Jorah for me. But I gave
okay,
Jorah the
I
character
like
nod
that.
last episode because I didn't think I would get to do it again. So I was like, "You know what? I'll spread the love a little bit more."
I like
Um,
that. I definitely slept
and
on him. That's for sure. He's definitely up there. Yeah, it's I guess I was more
real
focused on
motherfucker.
like screen time and more on screen, but
Oh,
as
yeah.
far as like substance, they definitely holy shit. Yeah.
Yeah, he
Um
got the fucking and it's one of Emilia Clarke's strongest moments, man, whenever she's sobbing, holding him there, like,
dang.
it's heavy,
Dude.
man, it's
Yeah.
really fucking good.
Whew.
But Drogon, who survived the Whites, curls himself around them to comfort his mom as she mourns. It's a really, really sweet moment there as well, but the Whites fall in the crypts as well, saving Tyrion, Sansa, and the others, and the ancient threat of the White Walkers has been destroyed forever. Dawn finally breaks over the devastated castle, and Melisandre walks out of the gate, removing her cloak, and Davos follows, ready to kill her with his dagger, but Melisandre, however, removes her magical choker and drops it on the ground. The glow
Oh.
from its gem fading out, and Davos is astonished to see from a distance that she is now a centuries-old woman,
Mhm.
having used
Lo-
up all of her magical power. Summoning the fires to defend the castle, she takes a few more faltering steps, then collapses, crumbling into dust.
Imagine being Davos, man. The biggest battle of all time just got done. No moment to celebrate. No moment to no.
I gotta go kill this bitch.
I'm still on my he's still on his mission. Um and I don't know. I thought that's just hilarious, but also, what the fuck's this stone? What she got going on here? Is this the reality stone here? Is this the what
Right.
is this stone, man? My theory that's it doesn't mean anything. The comet that goes, at the
Yeah.
beginning, it's just a fragment from that comet. It's like the only
Cool.
thing I could
That'd
ever
be cool.
see it being, but it doesn't matter. Cool death though. I really like the Red Woman. I don't know how I
Dude,
haven't seen it before, but like
a
man, was
great
this a
punctuation mark on the ending of this episode too, like when she collapses and it cuts to black. Fucking brilliant. Like I get chills just thinking about it, man. Like I got the
ooh.
pricklies.
Man, just
Um,
the
but
piles of bodies too that she has to walk
yeah,
through was like, oh my god. Like visually, like this episode was nuts. Like they were
that's what
cooking, like they
they
knew.
were cooking with fucking gas in
Mm-hmm.
this one, man. Like that's what I love about Miguel Sapochnik as a director. He also directed Battle of the Bastards and Battle of
Mm,
Hardhome, and this
mm-hmm.
is kind of his lane. Is the giant battle episodes? He directs episode 5 of season 8 as well. So like,
Mm-hmm.
he's got a heavy hand in some of the most grand and epic episodes of Thrones, but his visual sensibility, no matter how big it gets, like it always has this raw intimacy that I think is really, really effective. It's always really well lit. And I think that's I got to give some credit to Fabian Wagner there as well,
Mm.
the director of photography on this episode. He also shot Zack Snyder's Justice League,
Mm.
uh,
Okay.
and 8 episodes of Thrones, including the Battle of Hardhome, the Battle of the Bastards and the Winds of Winter, and the Long Night and the Bells,
Okay.
season 8, episode 5. So,
Okay. Okay. Yeah, that man he's got a good track record on the show.
yeah,
That's for sure. But man, yeah, this it is. I mean, we've been waiting a long time. We finally got here. It's crazy to get here with all the the previous knowledge I've had of the show, but then I have this newfound appreciation for this episode now. Even
Also,
more. It's
you watched Sherlock, right?
mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Best season of that show, season 2, Moriarty.
Oh yeah. 100%.
3 episodes, all shot by Fabian Wagner as well.
Okay. Yeah, I like Fabian. This dude knows what he's doing.
Dude can fucking film some fucking shit, man. That's
Mhm.
that's a talented photographer right there. Also, 3 episodes of House of the Dragon, including the first episode, season 1, episode 6, and season 1, episode 7. So very, very, very fantastic director of photography,
Yeah.
Fabian Wagner, and I think it paid off big time. The Long Night took like 30, was it 30? It might have been 60. Like it was like 2 months of night
Days.
shoots.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Of
Yeah.
night
Because you
shoots.
can only do it at night. Duh.
Yeah.
You can't be doing. Yeah. Oh my god.
Yeah, 55 nights of filming over 11 weeks.
It really was the long night. Like it for really was. That's a lot of work.
750 cast and crew.
Oh my god.
It was a moving shoot that had to adjust with the moon. Several actors described the episode as the hardest thing they've ever done. Macy Williams said that nothing can prepare you for how physically draining it is. It is night after night and again, and it just doesn't stop. You can't get sick, and you have to look out for yourself because there's so much to do that nobody else can do.
Oh.
There are moments you're just broken as a human and just want to cry. Ian Glenn described it as a real test, really miserable. You get to sleep at 7 in the morning, and when you wake up in the midday, you are still so spent you can't really do anything. And then you're back. You have no life outside of it. Rory McCann concurred, saying, "Everybody prays they never have to do this again."
Oh.
Glenn did add that it was only worse for the crew since, unlike the actors, they had to be on set at all times. The crew has constantly. If the actors aren't filming scenes, they don't have to be there.
Props to everybody.
Everybody
that
involved
was in
man.
there.
This
Oh
is
my
a
god.
really good example of why everyone didn't want to do the show anymore. Because this was obviously the most extreme example of it. Of course, like this is the most extreme example of how hard it is to make this show. But this was the sort of shit they would do. They shot on location. It wasn't some warehouse where they had to, they could just light it like it was night and go ahead and shoot, make it a nice, convenient shoot. No, they did 55 nights over 3 months, 11 weeks. Like, that's insane shit right there. Because
Maybe
you do a full week of night shoots. What's your weekend? It doesn't exist. You just maintain that sleeping schedule because if you don't, you lose your fucking mind.
That's like maybe this is why we didn't get Jon killing Viserion or like a crazy epic shot is because like everything else we got, it took 2 months for him to do. Like imagine how much longer. Like if they do shots like that, they're gonna want to do it right and they're gonna do it in the Game of Thrones fashion. So like okay, the logistics of making an episode. Yeah, that's
like season 8, a normal movie shoot.
That's what I was gonna say. How long does it take to make a movie? Like
it's typically about 60 days.
Yeah, they
made one episode in 55 nights. Like that's insane. That's insane.
Oh my god. No, I did not know it took that long. That's incredible. Man, yeah, I don't know, I'm looking at the deaths at the very end. We've gotten there. Only one first. Martha, a little bird from Viserion, I guess. A northern whisper, a little bird from whatever. But the deaths, they are in order in which they happen. But oh my god, it's crazy the people we said goodbye to. Good old Ed, the first one. A little unceremonious, a little bit, but rest in peace.
No, I mean, like if there was anyone, I was kind of hoping. Like in a battle like this, someone like that should have died on the front fucking lines. Like as soon as they do the swarm, like somebody's fucking dead, bro. Like that's just how they go. So I'm glad something had to be unceremonious, and I think Dolores Ed is the perfect one to do that.
That's true.
With,
Yeah, I don't really need a crazy one for him, but Perfect. The next one up, we did get a ceremonious one. Little Lady Lyanna Mormont.
She got a fucking moment
fucking
there.
baller. Nice kill there. Beric Dondarrion, I'd say, got a nice moment for him as well. Wish he could have maybe gotten a last word in or something, but nice to know that it kind of mimicked Thoros a little bit.
Yeah.
So that's cool. Kono, Q-H...
Quono, yeah.
O-N-O?
He's Dothraki.
Okay. Oh, that guy. Oh, yeah. When did we see him die, or
I'm
was
assuming
just in the
we
big
saw
horde?
him reanimated. That was they show his eye snap open.
Okay. That would be it. Lady Alice Karstark off screen. Yeah, we got that one. Fergus.
Yeah, she's with Theon. Yeah.
Fergus, a commoner
I'm
at
assuming
Winterfell.
another Iron.
Probably
okay.
Probably another, maybe White or another raised
Reanimated.
of the dead.
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know. Theon next up.
Of course. Yeah.
They got a nice moment. The Night King. I'd say the moment of the episode there. Funny one here. Stark. Who do you think Stark is, if you had to take a guess? Just Stark. It's the reanimated, whoever it was. Who knows who in the crypt? It's the one that came like back to life and like.
Yeah.
Someone killed him, I guess. Eventually, I don't know who, but just Stark. Would have been kind of funny if it was like if Lyanna, like it specifically showed like Ned or like Lyanna being the one to come back up, but
specifically not to do that. So I'm glad they did that. I also like to have the headcanon that Ned, it's literally not possible for him to reanimate.
No head.
No head. Don't know how important that is, but we've never seen a White that was headless.
No head. That's probably
the headcanon for me is that if you were killed by Valyrian steel or dragonglass in the first place, you can't be reanimated.
I like that. I like that a lot. Dude, that'd be so sick. Oh my god. Yeah. And that's why in old Valyria they just fought with that, because if you're gonna die, you'd rather die that way. You know, that's like okay. But Stark. Good old Stark. We don't know who. I'm glad it's not Lyanna or Ned, though. That is I would not have wanted it to be that way. I don't want it to make it seem that way. But Viserion up next for good. Dead Viserion. And then a good moment here. Man, a sleeper. I can't believe I kind of forgot about this. But Jorah, performance-wise, like you were right. Like this was a great performance out of both of them right here at the end. And then the final death, Melisandre, at the very end.
R.I.P. R.I.P. We get another pretty major death next episode. We're kind of there for the next couple episodes. So I mean, literally every episode, the rest of the show has a major death.
Arya's kill list. I can definitely put the Night King in there, or
the
Blue
Army of the Dead.
That's even better. Boom. Last episode, her virginity. This episode, the entire Army of the Dead. So that's pretty badass. Just got to get, just look at what can happen. Your world opens up after you have sex. I don't know. Maybe that's definitely not the theme of Game of Thrones. I don't think that's what they were going for, but at least she got it in. But yeah,
use protection,
of course. Yes, and who knows? Maybe there is a little Gendry, a little Baratheon and Stark cooking in there. Maybe she goes west of Westeros, and later on we find a little baby bump. Maybe that could be interesting. We see a trailer. I don't know. Is that ever going to come out ever? Actually, her spinoff.
I'm certain that eventually there will be a sequel series to Game of Thrones. I think that Warner Brothers will be
kind of remiss if they don't. And
it's not necessarily that I'm like they have to. I want it real bad. I don't even know that I particularly want it. Just get but
just
the thing is that all these actors will eventually need work.
Mm-hmm.
Warner Brothers will eventually need a lot of money.
They always do.
They always do.
That's their main thing. So
I'm like, I'd be willing to bet that at some point, like the Jon Snow sequel series, I think it's been quietly shelved. I think that's done. I don't think it's happening. But the fact that it was ever even an idea that Kit Harington was also willing to do,
Mm-hmm.
indicates to me that it's not entirely out of the cards. I think that we will almost definitely get a sequel series for Game of Thrones, and who knows when. I imagine that wouldn't be for at least a decade
Yeah, I
after
mean,
the show's
we got
conclusion.
House of the Dragon. We got I always forget the name of it.
Duncan and Egg,
Duncan
we
and
got a
Egg.
bunch
Yeah.
of other shit,
So
yeah.
we got some other stuff coming.
We had a lot of stuff in the works, so, like, eventually, maybe, but, we'll see. We'll see for sure, but, let's go ahead and rate this bad boy. How are we feeling? But ahead of the rating,
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna do
First,
the plugs. If you would, head to patreon.com/PennyBloomPod, where you find over 50 hours of exclusive content, all sorts of book reviews, comic book reviews, movie reviews, and the like. For $3 a month, you can support the podcast financially, which is huge because it costs me money and I don't make any off of it unless it's over there. Head to Twitter, follow at PennyBloomPod, follow on Instagram and TikTok at PennyBloomPodcast. Remember to leave a 5-star rate and review wherever you might be listening, and to continue downloading episodes and to keep on coming back. You can watch us on YouTube now. We always got nice stuff on display. Look up Penny Bloom Podcast, and we are there. You can watch the show instead of listen to the show. If that's your thing. If it's not, no big deal. No big deal. You can keep listening wherever. We're available there. So go ahead and look up Penny Bloom Podcast wherever, and you should be able to find us. And if you can't, hit me up. I'll try to figure out how to get us there. But yeah. How are we feeling? 10s across the board?
at least for enjoyment, I'm very certain
Yeah.
that this one's a 10. I don't think there's really many other episodes that are just surefire 10s out of the
Yeah.
show. Let's see. I guess the other 10s that we did give in enjoyment, I guess it's happened a lot, actually, now that I think about it. But season 1, Baelor, we gave Baelor a 10. Season 2, The Old Gods and the New, season 6, or episode 6, and Blackwater, a 10. That makes sense. Episode 4, And Now His Watch Has Ended, of season 3, The Climb, The Reigns of Castamere, The Red Wedding, a 10.
Mhm.
Yep, makes sense. Out of season 4, it was the penultimate and the finale, The Watchers on the Wall and the Children, Hard Home, The Door, Hodor going bye-bye, and then the last 3 episodes of season 6.
Yeah.
So that pretty banger. And then none in season 7, and the first one again with the Long Night. So good company, that's for sure. Belongs there. Definitely belongs there. And yeah, I guess
and I was being exaggeratory. I think we've only given one episode a 10 across the board, huh? Was
Yeah.
that Battle of the Bastards? Is that
Yes.
the only episode we've ever given a straight 10?
Yes.
Um,
I don't. And then
I would.
House of the Dragon. We did give 2 episodes critically a 10, but that was rating
I
was
think
different back
we're
then and
being
all.
excited. We hadn't really refined our rating.
Those are the
stuff.
only other 10s that we've given other than Battle of the Bastards. So I mean, for real, the only other 10 I think we've given is Battle of the Bastards. And
also, this is not that. This isn't. It might be I think it's probably a 9.75. I'd even potentially be okay with a 9.5. I think that visually, it's brilliant. It's astonishingly well performed. But there are those holes in it where I'm like, I feel like we missed opportunities. We could have done a little bit more. But those things are few and far in between. Very, very limited. We showered praise on Miguel Sapochnik and Fabian Wagner and the makeup artists and the costume designers, and just like the technical side of this
it's incredible.
The technical side of this, it might genuinely be the greatest episode of television ever. It's just that, like, the writing, it could be a little better. It could.
Yeah, that is true. To kind of sideline the main dude of the entire show and
the main chick. I mean, Daenerys is important, but she's not a huge factor in this.
Yeah,
episode.
Like putting them on dragons kind of just I mean, like they're kind of literally sidelined just because they are on a dragon for most of the time and they're just up in the sky. It's like they're still doing things, but even when they're just lost in the clouds for like a lot of it, it's not even like they're actually doing stuff. But yeah, I mean, I think like we gave Winds of Winter a 9.75 critically. So like that's to say that the Winds of Winter is, I mean, maybe Critically, yeah,
I
I
think the
guess. I
winter's probably
guess.
better than that.
Yeah.
So I mean, like, it just depends on how much you value those things. Like I said, like I think I'd be willing to put it on the same level as Winds of Winter because I think that that's just how good looking and how well done every other aspect of this episode is,
Mhm.
except for the writing. And the writing obviously plays a big part in it. But whenever you are doing an episode like this that is mostly visual, we are not doing a ton of dialogue, and obviously writing is very important. So like this, I don't think they're just going like, "There's a bunch of battles going on." Like, no, obviously they detail the stuff, but like, it's on the director and the cinematographer and the costume designers and the makeup artists and the lighting and all this stuff to make it look as good as it does. And I think when you're dealing with such a visual episode the way that this was, I think you got to value that above, and I think it's worthy of a 9.75 there.
Okay. Yeah, I think so as well. It is to say that it's like worse than Winds of Winter feels like weird. Like you're right. Like I do wish there was a little bit more to the story, but with we have been talking about recently, like it's to make like a movie or I like the best. I don't know what the quote was, but it was really awesome. I forgot who it was from, but like about a silent film about like how you want to.
Yes.
Um,
The screenwriter's job is to write poetry, and then the director's job is to turn that poetry into a silent film.
yeah, and I think
Uh,
in this
that was a
episode, yeah,
Scorsese quote, by the way.
yeah,
Yeah.
and that like that's what they're going for. They obviously are going for the visual and spectacle route. Like you are, a lot of things is not because a character is telling you or like the dialogue is making the moment hit. No, it is
Mm.
what you are seeing or what the moment that is happening, and that's the episode was just full of them the whole time. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely.
So 9.83 for the average, as close as to a 10 as you can get on our scale. Actually, that's false. It would have to be a 10 critically and a 9.75 enjoyment to be the closest to a 10 that you could get with the weight that we have. But
Yeah.
I don't think we're ever going to give a 10 critically. I guess Battle of the Bastards, yes, that one actually deserved it. I still believe so. But
No, I have a tough time believing that I mean, now we're into the part of the season that usually gets fucking bashed after this. So like,
mhm.
it'll be interesting to see. I doubt we'll come close to matching this. This is far and away the best episode of the season so far.
A 6.5 and a 7.92.
Yeah, so by over 20% and by 35%.
Yeah. So,
It's it's heavily outweighing those. But
mm,
yeah, we got a lot to look forward to. Season 8, episode 5, while some of the decisions it makes have not sat well with a lot of people, sits well with me. I tend to like it a lot. I
mhm.
do. It's a good episode of television. I'm excited for another visual spectacle because that's what it is. My God, is that episode brilliant. So, but next week, I think we might be in for the worst episode of the season. Um,
Mhm.
Got some high points. It's got some terribly low points. So I'm excited for that. But yeah, with that, we can conclude this episode of Winter is Blooming, and we can look forward to next week where we will be covering season 8, episode 4. And I am so very excited
Mhm.
for that one. Is that titled "The Last of the Starks"?
Mhm. Yep, I was waiting. I was waiting to see if you'd get it, but
Yes. Yes.
with I wasn't worried really. I was pretty
Yeah.
confident you'd get it.
Yep,
Um,
The Last of the Starks. That'll be next week, season 8, episode 4. And in the meantime, up until next Monday, what you can be expecting from the pod here, we've got some fun to look forward to, as this Wednesday brings us the personal history of David Copperfield.
mm,
The We're continuing our Dev Patel spotlight, and I'm so very excited to do so. It's been a fun time, even if we've hit some all right movies in the past. We're on the up and up, I think, with after Lion last week and personal history of David Copperfield this week. Wednesdays are Dev Patel days here on Penny Bloom Podcast up until Monkey Man's release, and I'm so very excited for that. And then this Friday, continue our coverage of The Bad Batch, baby. We're covering the last season of Thrones, the last season of The Bad Batch side by side, and I'm so very excited. We're only a couple weeks away from concluding Game of Thrones now. 3 weeks.
Oh my god.
Weeks away.
Oh my god. Yeah,
I
it's
remember when we had fucking 73 weeks, you know? Like
when
we
we
were like,
started the
let's do
show.
this thing.
Yeah. I don't know if we fully understood the time
What we committed
length,
to,
and what we did, but man, it almost being over is like holy shit. Like
Oh, it's
what like
incredibly rewarding.
yeah.
It's incredibly rewarding. I'm so glad we've done it. So I'm so excited, man. I can't believe we're already almost done. It's been far and away the most ambitious and expansive project we've done. We don't have another project that's taken us, one a week, every week for over a year.
Yeah,
Well over a year.
we did 1 year, 52-year journey through film, and having
Mhm.
every week for a year isn't even enough to stack up to Game of Thrones with 1984. No, 97,
94.
94.
94.
Yeah,
Yeah.
was
No, I mean,
stacked
like,
up.
we covered almost 60 movies for that. We covered for the comic book movie journey through film as of yet. We haven't quite hit 60. It's time length been about as long as Game of Thrones, but it has not. Actually,
Yeah.
it's not even quite that long. Because October of 2022 to now, what next week will be April of 2024.
Oh my god, yeah, that's actually nuts to think. Like eventually the comic book movie will overtake.
Oh, it will.
You like
It
eventually
will.
that's just
But we take big
sheer
breaks with that
numbers.
one too.
Yeah, not just a
We took weeks-long
continuous.
breaks for
Yeah.
Wes Anderson. We took weeks-long breaks for Scorsese. We're taking a weeks-long break now for The Bad Batch and Game of Thrones and Dev Patel. So, like, Thrones has been consistent,
Yeah.
a consistent hitter here for over a year now. So, like, that's a long fucking time. And we plan on covering the House of the Dragon season 2 as soon as we can. So we got a lot to look forward to. Thrones coverage, the rewatch will stop here in a couple weeks, but Thrones will live on the Penny Bloom podcast. But yeah, with that, we will conclude this episode of Winter is Blooming. I was Colton Robertson. I was joined by Joseph George. Thank you very much, homie.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure to be here.
Oh, and it's always a pleasure to have you. And remember, peace, love, and bloom. And what do we say to the god of death?
Not today.
Not today.